A crash on a dark highway north of Council started it. A breeding bull was down, and a longtime rancher was called from his dinner table to finish the job. Within minutes, gunfire erupted, and the valley was left asking who had really pulled the trigger and why a neighbor lay dead in the road. It became one of the most explosive cases in Idaho, and the answers never came easy. All right, welcome back to the Lethal Library. I am Stephanie.
And I'm Dani.
And we are here to tell you yet another true crime story out of Idaho. This one's about a location that we're both familiar with. We drive through really often around the Council area, so those of you in the area might also be really familiar with it. So I'm excited to see what this is all about. I know that Dani's alluded to it on a few of our episodes, so it's not a story that I know, but I'm here to hear it.
It's pretty incredible. You're going to be like, how did this even fucking happen?
Right.
It really is.
Okay.
And I'll be interested to see how you feel on the back end after I tell you the story. If it was justified.
It's one of those.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
those ones are always really tough.
It is tough. And little sneak peek. How weird. There's no dash cam. There's no fucking body cam.
When was this? Like, what year frame are we talking?
2015.
Yeah, it's not like we're talking the 80s, 90s.
No.
Very interessante. So, Dani, I'll let you take it away.
Let's get into it. Sources used today are articles from KIVI and my favorite bitch, the Idaho Statesman.
Love you, girl.
A car hit the bull just after dark on November 1st, 2015 on US 95, about 6 miles north of Council. The Subaru Legacy station wagon, driven by Jack Garner and carrying his new wife, Dory, smashed into the big black breeding bull that belonged to a local rancher, Jack Yantis.
Ouch.
The hood crumpled, the windshield blew inward. The 1-ton animal came up over the car and into the cab.
Oh my gosh.
Both Garners suffered serious head and body injuries. Their little dog and a kennel in the back somehow survived without a scratch.
Oh, at least there's that.
Do you want to see a picture? Let me see. I think I took a picture. I think I saved.
And this is a Subaru, what was it, an Outback?
I'm not sure. But look at that. Like the bull literally rolled into.
And just to give you guys that are listening to this audio and maybe haven't looked up this picture, this is a car that it looks like it was it's not flattened to the ground, but it looks like a steamroller went like maybe 3 feet up, like just on the hood, and smashed until it almost got to the windshield. Still smashed a bit, but didn't smash it flat. This hitting a cow.
And especially with this height of a car, you clip their legs and then they just broke. That's the biggest thing about
into a steamroller.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing about hitting even a deer
or an elk.
Right. Their legs are just the height that you clip them and then they roll.
So this is like between a deer and an elk, I think would be a good way to describe a full-grown cow.
The height.
A bull.
Well, this bull.
A deer is kind of lightweight, like they're just muscly lean. An elk is a big-ass bitch, tall, and usually pretty hefty.
Do you want to know how much this bull weighed?
How much?
2,400 pounds. Between 2,400 and...
Not a ton?
Yeah. between 24 and 2,500 pounds. So
And most cars are 2 tons, maybe, right?
I'm not sure.
That's a guess on my part from some
Please tell us
desolate part of my
what we
brain.
need to know. I didn't look
Something in my brain's telling me that.
But
correct.
they just hit the legs, and so all the weight is on the upper body, and it just rolls.
Yeah, it's like it looks like a roller went over the hood and
So this stretch of highway in front of the Yantis Ranch was open range, which we've talked about this before.
well, some people from Idaho might not be familiar with what that means or our rules too.
So the open range law in Idaho allows for roads and highways to pass through open range in certain designated areas where livestock can roam. If a motorist hits livestock in open range, they are liable for the damages, not the rancher who owned the livestock.
So what that means is if you hit cattle or livestock in an open range portion, they have the right of way, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And there's signs saying, open range.
We see them all the time.
There's,
even close to Boise.
Yeah.
You're not very far out of the city, and you will see them. Like, it's right there.
And I'll say that, like, ranchers aren't generally, in what I've seen, trying to use this to their advantage. To be like, yes, cows cross the road. They want to protect their assets. Losing cattle
is huge.
Is not
I'm going to talk about those numbers.
And Dani would have experience with that as well. So ranchers
they're not just letting them roam across the highway.
Like, ha ha ha. I'm going to, encourage my cattle to cross here. And if you hit them, then yes, I get to sue you. Because litigation is a huge and time consuming thing. They'd rather protect their assets than have their cattle or whatever stock get hit. And so it's a different thing. It's something that often trips a lot of people up on their driving test if they're from out of state, because it sounds like a no-brainer of if a cow's in the road crossing and you hit it,
who's liable?
Who's liable? And you're like,
wow,
well, that's someone's cow. Why is the cow in the road?
It's not a
their
dog.
fence must be broken. No, there's open range here.
But even, I will say this, and most ranchers are fencing their cows in. So it's not like, just go play in the streets, kids.
No.
They don't want to do that.
But things happen and
animals can get out. Dogs can get out. Cows can get out. So it happens. It's unfortunate. And these ranchers, this was a bull of his, and I'm telling you, it was probably a prize bull. Mm-hmm. He had raised it, set it out, let him go get his gals every year. And, but he knew this bull, and ranchers do that. They know their animals.
No one wants their animals to get run over by cars, and they're not going to be encouraging them into a situation that puts them at risk.
So council itself sits in a rural valley.
It does.
Surrounded on 3 sides by forest. About 800 people lived in the town and about 3,800 in the county. I do not know the county size, but it's a good sized county.
It's a big old girl.
Yeah. It was a conservative place where most people preferred to be left alone, where many vehicles carried rifles and shotguns, still do, and where almost every household had firearms. People prided themselves on gun safety and on knowing how to put down injured livestock humanely.
Because it's a thing that's going to come up.
It's going to be necessary, whether it's a cow, a bull, or a deer, a bear
suffering that's been hit.
I know of a bear that was hit up there too. Mm-hmm. At one point, it was a little bear. Didn't kill people, but people are going to run into these wild animals or quote unquote domesticated, owned animals, and they're going to get hit. Unfortunately, it's a canyon.
And we have black bears here.
Yeah.
At night to see them.
I lost my little side story. I lost my 100-pound golden doodle in the mountains at the cabin.
I can't see him.
No, he got a lighted
collar
after this. Yeah. But I was so worried that somebody was going to think he was a bear.
No, because Gordy wouldn't look like a bear. And I think 100 pounds, he probably was he's a big, tall, big ass, furry ass boy. So he's already
golden doodle.
Mm-hmm. And when he's got his full coat, he's fluffy as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
So in the pitch dark, there's not street lights around.
Right.
There's our fire. I think you guys maybe have one big light out there. I don't know.
Not on our property. It's down the road. But still, it concerned me. I'm like,
no. And so
somebody's going to think he's a bear.
I would think he's a bear.
A baby bear, but still a bear. So after that,
bear, maybe.
After that, when it got dusk, lights on. Until he got old, and then he didn't.
Then he didn't wander.
No, he just sat by the fire. But I always would keep an eye on him, and he knew his home. But when he was 3,
he's adventurous.
Yeah. So no, it's a thing up there. So Jack Yantis had grown up in that culture. He was born in Fruitvale, north of Council, and raised on a cattle ranch with 2 older brothers and a younger sister. Their father was a World War II tank veteran who demanded hard work. The boys developed the toughness and work ethic that neighbors still talked about. Each brother later ran his own operation in Council Country, so they both had their cattle ranches.
Family business, okay.
Jack became a progressive cattleman who used new breeding technology, which is a thing. It really is a thing.
It's that with farming as well. A lot of people think farming, you're just digging up stuff. No, there's intense technologies of when to water and how the, tractors move. There's so much technology that's in it now that's available.
It's not just owning some cows, right? He was also a respected logger and faller. Friends said the Forest Service still called him to deal with problem trees. He loved the woods and the outdoors. He hunted, rodeoed, logged, and ran cattle. And he was known as the man who made his living from the ground and timber. What he did not raise, he shot. Good old boy.
Sounds like a very
hardworking
and just dedicated. And, if that's your type of lifestyle.
Living off the land.
You dig in. I think that's really cool. Mm-hmm. Not for everyone, but if you really do embrace it, I think that's kind of cool.
No, I do too.
And you're
the knowledge that you have compared
to all trees like an arborist and to that you're the person that they come to.
Yeah. The Forest Service is giving you a call because they have this tree.
Kind of a cool skill.
Yeah. I love it. Jack and Donna, his wife, had known each other since grade school.
Oh.
They married young and raised 2 daughters. People described him as a tough man, but a soft-spoken one who loved his animals and his family. He trained both daughters in gun safety from the time they were 5. His idea of church on Sunday often involved a trip into the Idaho backcountry with the line, "Let's go see what God created."
That's really cute.
I love that.
And he's the girl dad, and
I love that so much.
Them. Listen, I think every woman should know gun safety, so I'm just going to say that right now.
Yeah. Well, we live here. Everybody has guns, like literally.
But I think all ladies, just to listen, men don't have to worry about putting their keys in their knuckles.
No.
Their thing. So if it's something that doesn't irk you too bad, just get comfortable with it or know a little bit about it. Even if you don't want to own a gun, maybe just go shoot a gun and see if it might be something for you. You might find that you enjoy it. I've known women. One of the women I know, the mom of one of my ex-boyfriends was like the highest ranking shooter in in the corrections facility.
Fuck yeah.
And I think that she even may have outranked men, but she was just, and how cool. You might even find it as a new hobby. And then it's just another skill for you. So,
Or you
ladies,
could be like me, who was forced to purchase a gun. I have no desire, but we have very large kitty cats at our cabin, mountain
the snuggly
lions,
kind.
huge, big, no.
And they're sneaky and they will.
So, and I go fish by myself, and I'm not dying over a trout. So, I had to actually, we had 2 cougars up at our cabin in one summer.
Yeah.
And that was enough for me to, my dad took me down and, my dad
That's
has,
the thing. If you see a big cat when you're up and walking around, it's probably because the cat fucked up, and they don't fuck up often.
no, cats scare the fuck out of me.
They are like silent ninjas.
And they weigh more than me. And no, I would lose that battle. And they're not scared by some clappy clap, get away like a bear.
They don't respond to a
Yeah.
like
So I have to be packing. I don't like it. I have shot the gun. Not excellent at it. Yeah.
But in the moment, I
It's
just encourage women, if it's something that weirds you out, maybe it's I think that it's a good exercise. Just like people pick up new hobbies like knitting or, doing some type of community service or electrically wiring things. Like women are branching out into so many different things. Why not give it a shot? If you don't like it, that's fine. But then at least I think it takes the fear out of it.
It did. It has. I'm still respect
And then
it.
you have more control.
Yeah.
And respect.
I respect it. I do not like wearing it. It hinders the fishing, but I want to be safe. And I'm putting myself in
risk.
I'm putting myself in an unsafe situation because I know our neighbor up there said, we haven't been seeing a lot of deer. Must be a cat around. Mm-hmm. We know those things up there. So anyways, but Jack's record was not spotless. We got a few little things.
This is okay.
In 1997, he pled guilty to 1 misdemeanor charge of resisting and obstructing after an encounter with a deputy. A battery count and another resisting charge were dropped. And in 2002, he's convicted of a Dewey, an open container on US 95. What?
We know that.
Breath test put his blood alcohol level at 0.12.
Not great.
He served 3 days in jail, did his alcohol education, and paid fines. His license was suspended for 90 days, but he still had daylight driving permitted for ranch work. And, of course, all the counseling. And I'm sure that was a lesson learned with him. You have to go do all that
he's
stuff.
Following the consequences, at least.
Yeah. But none of that changed how most people in council saw him. Longtime residents, including the editor of the local paper, remembered him as a man with grit who never shied away from work. He served on the cemetery board, helped with 4-H, and the council Mountain Cattle Association. That was a handful. And often helped neighbors or strangers who needed a hand. He was that guy.
He made an impression with people, and listen, I don't know how this ends, so maybe my opinion will change because it often does. Because, listen, some people are able to be that guy with everyone externally, and that's part of their thing. But then they abuse people close to them. I don't know if this is the case.
I feel Jack was that neighbor that you could call. My pump's not working. There's something wrong with my cow.
My fence is broken.
Right. All of these things.
I got a huge hole in my driveway.
That's the feeling that I get from
sounds like
reading about him and the things that people said about him. Council itself was no stranger to the politics of open range. Idaho law allowed roads and highways to pass through enclosed grazing lands. In open range, livestock owners were not liable when motorists hit their animal. Drivers were responsible not only for their own injuries and the vehicle damage, but also for the value of the animal.
Yes. And that's the thing that trips up people, because it doesn't seem
Right.
compared to other
Right.
instances, it doesn't seem on the same page.
A breeding bull like Yantis's could be worth $5,000 to $10,000. In today's value, it'd be $7,000 to $14,000. They are expensive animals.
Yes.
They're not letting them run free on the highway.
No. And I will say that's why I still agree with this open range type of law, because it's very rare. And I think that people that have cattle have proven, for the most part, that they don't want it either.
No, they don't want it either.
But if they have 75 miles, I don't know if that's a standard or anything, but who knows how long you can't police that all the time. And if it's a roadway that's through your property.
And also, just this, it's a vast space.
Yes.
It is a lot of space that these guys run their cattle in, because if they had to feed them in a little tiny box, it's not feasible. So
this is the type of cattle farming, cattle ranching.
So they turn them out on this beautiful tall grass.
And it's good for the environment too.
Like fires.
Yes.
Fires. So these cattle go run these lands, and they eat down the 3-foot tall grass through the spring and summer. And then they round them up, put them in another place in the winter. But you can't manage that.
And this is proven, because there's even been a study on wild horses. We have a lot of wild horses in certain areas of Idaho. And there's a push to round up these wild horses almost like as if they're a pest. But there's been studies that show that the benefit of these horse herds being allowed to eat and keep down has reduced the fire risk percentage by, and this is stuff that costs money. This costs your city, state, your utility, hundreds of thousands, millions, and billions of dollars overall.
Never mind homes and
Yes,
properties.
so if there's a way to keep it tamped down to a space that it can't spread.
Recreation areas.
Exactly. And especially wild horses, they're not a predator to anyone. They spook with humans. Like, they don't want anything to do with people. And neither do cows usually. Cows are not going to be attacked.
Although there has been a time or two I've seen a baby cow out in the middle of a field and I want to take it home. They're so cute.
They are so fucking cute. Yes. Cuteness, aggression, sorry. But it's just like, no one else is using this land. It's not being used for farming. It's not being used for housing. Like, this is owned by someone else.
And it's not like we have in Idaho, we have
hilly.
We have grasslands, like literally where you're getting 3-foot tall grass.
No one's trying to use it.
And
for
if that
recreation.
catches fire, it's done.
It goes like so fast. So I wanted to add a little. There's a podcast about the wild horses. I wish I knew it right now, but try to look up like wild horses grazing or something. But there's a whole fucking study and shit. And so just think of the same for cattle. It has to be similar, at least. They're doing the same fucking thing. So,
and a lot of these ranchers, if you drive by a fence and you're like, why is there, looks like there's like 20 feet of dirt. They till fire lines in their own areas to prevent it jumping.
and that helps everyone.
But they're doing it they don't get paid for that.
So yes, they are protecting their own land, sure. But if you are able to prevent the fire from traveling straight through to go to the next thing,
Neighbors,
that's helping everyone in that general area.
There is, next time you drive through Weiser, up through that way, right outside of Weiser, I swear it's like 5 miles of fence. It's probably 1. But it's like, and you see them every year, at a certain time when the grass gets to a certain spot, and I'm like, he's got his fire line, and he's tilling up that whole thing along his fence, and it's fantastic. It's smart.
We saw that when we went through Durkee. There was a Durkee fire, not last year, I think, but the year before, and we had to travel through Durkee, Oregon to get to our family that lives in like Central Oregon. And almost all of the farmland was left because they had done this and had protected. And what's funny is also there were so many power poles that were protected and not burned. And you could tell it was because they had put like a 10-foot, I don't know how many foot barrier. And there was these sheets of stuff around them. So you could see all the burnt and the pole was in pristine condition.
Wow.
And so it's like, this is the type of shit that people don't think about on the farmer thing and on the utility side of like, if this wouldn't have happened, for one, more houses would have been burned. The fire would have been more catastrophic for everyone. And utilities, power would have been out if these preventative things wouldn't have happened. So I feel like people are being responsible. And
I think if most ranchers and farmers,
it seems like it might seem weird to folks that aren't around this area, but I don't feel like people are abusing it and being like, I want my cows to be running on the road all the time because that's their right. No one thinks that.
Well, and to go back to that open range law, the insurance companies like the clarity of the law because it would be,
it's very,
it would end up in litigation
for years.
Every time somebody hit.
There's a law though.
Right. So the insurance companies like the law because it's very clear. Mm-hmm. If it was like there was no open range law and a cow got out and you hit it, then it's just litigation. And all that does is cost, the big, evil, bad insurance companies. But ultimately that trickles down to consumers.
No insurance company wants to pay. So they're all going to decide to try
It's just very easy. It's cut. It's clear cut.
It's the law, and it's part of the driving test for a reason.
Motorists and some environmental and farm groups did not like the clarity. They call the system outdated and unfair in a world with more traffic and higher speeds.
Well, do you want it to be 35 through every open range place? It would take us 6 hours to get to Riggins, which I don't even know how many aerial miles we are from there.
It would take forever.
Nobody
wants that.
It's a balance. Be cautious. Look at the signs. There is signage telling you if it's snowy, rainy, windy, take that into account.
We even have signs here that says watch for deer, watch for elk. Yeah. Across the West, open range traditions went back to settlement days. Idaho formally defined open range in 1961 as unenclosed lands outside of cities, towns, and designated herd districts. Herd districts were closed range pockets where livestock had to be fenced in. In open range, the rules was fence out. Landowners who did not want their cows on their property had to build and maintain legal fences with specific wire height and post fencing. So these farmers, I'm just telling you, the guys that are raising the corn and the wheat, they had to fence out animals in open range
because your crop could be eaten.
Right. But it wasn't the rancher's responsibility to keep their cows out of their fields.
That's a little, I would, if I was a corn farmer, I'd be like, I gotta keep your fucking cattle out of here. Because listen, cows will have a ball.
Yeah. They'll destroy stuff. But isn't that a funny thing? So we're all here, oh, was that fair about cows on land? Think about this.
You could lose your whole field from just a small amount. Because listen, cows are like puppies.
Mm-hmm.
Like big, hungry puppies.
Right. Idaho crash data showed that in 2014, nearly 1,100 collisions involved wildlife and about 300 involved domestic animals. So you can definitely see, like, the chances of hitting a deer are 4 times higher, or a bear or whatever wild animal, than actually hitting a domesticated animal. Two of the domestic animal crashes were fatal. One woman died when she hit a horse in a closed range near Eagle. Another motorcyclist died,
Ooh.
in open range in Idaho County in a wreck involving his dog and another vehicle. Crashes with livestock were not as common as collisions with deer and elk, but they were regular enough that people along rural highways stayed alert, and highway signs warned open range.
And it's just the reality.
Eyeballs out. We drive through that all the time, especially Briggins to New Meadows. You have to be super...
There's so much farmland.
and the wild animal portion of it is...
Sometimes they even put up those, I don't know what they're called, those warning signs that...
elk crossing, deer...
like the temporary ones. That
because when they're migrating or the time of year
they'll be like, please watch for elk or please watch for wildlife. And when you see that, it's for a reason.
And then you keep your eyes peeled.
And you slow down on corners, or if it's foggy, rainy, snowy.
And your peripheral vision on that when you're making that drive, especially right before New Meadows, where it's all like that beautiful grassland area. Eyeballs out.
Eyeballs out. Yes, 100%. And just having that extra awareness of not only, because some of these roads get curvy and stuff. And this is... a wild animal has no regard. No one has responsibility for them. So you better just fucking watch out. And there's times when you can't avoid, but you have to. If there's a lit up sign, a temporary sign saying elk seen, if elk crossing, there's always plenty of signage. You've got to know that that's a risk. It's the reality of our state.
In 2004, a cyclist in Lincoln County hit a calf and died. His family sued, arguing the rancher failed to maintain fencing along the road. Idaho Supreme Court sided with the open range law. The family lost. Environmental groups such as Western Watersheds and some agricultural organizations representing grain producers kept pushing for changes. Ranch groups, including the Idaho Farm Bureau, defended the system and argued that no fence could ever keep every cow in, and that big bulls could burst through anything when spooked. True that.
Well, and listen, you cannot build... think of the size of some people's property. It's not like you can build a wall that's 12 feet long and bulletproof.
No.
You can do barbed wire and what are those posts?
T-posts.
Yeah, thank you. Because and that is super effective.
Yeah.
But
you can't guarantee. Okay.
A gopher digs out your pole and then it falls down.
What if somebody hits your fence and breaks it and you don't even know?
And nobody knows because there was no fatalities.
Yeah.
No police were called. No crash incident was reported. You might have 15 miles of fence line, even if you only have a small piece of property that's just like right along that.
Now who's at fault? So anyway,
someone else fucked up your shit. So this is just how it is in Idaho. And listen, I wouldn't want to hit a fucking cow. And I would be pissed if I did hit a cow. I feel so bad. I would feel awful. Also, I wouldn't really want to pay that as well. And it's so opposite of... that's why people fail it on the driving test. It's so different that, oh, you can have your cow in the road and it's my fault.
Yep.
But again, ranchers do not want their cattle to be blasted by your car. In general, they're not looking for that.
That larger legal and cultural backdrop mattered on November 1st, 2015. It shaped how people thought about the crash with the Yantis bull, the way ranchers and law enforcement respond, and later, the way Dory and Jack Garner spoke about what happened to them.
Mm-hmm.
Jack and Dory Garner had married in September of 2015 in La Crosse, Washington. Between them, they had 8 grown children. They had met on an online site for members of their church, and their families called them the Brady Bunch couple. How cute. For Halloween, they drove to La Crosse so Dory could join her mother and extended family, making popcorn balls, something they had done for almost 60 years. And on the way home, they chose US 95 so they could stop in Lewiston and to see one of Jack's sons. So we have 2 Jacks in the story. We have Jack Garner and Jack Yantis. So
Thank you.
just to clarify. So yeah, the Garners went on a little weekend trip to go help Grandma make these popcorn balls that she's been making. And there's other ways to get down Oregon or Washington down to Idaho, but US 95 is a pretty popular choice.
That's the way to go.
It's the only choice if you're actually in Idaho. But there's ways to get through Washington and Oregon and come down to the valley. But on the evening of November 1st, they headed south in their Subaru wagon with their small dog, Chloe, who was in the kennel in the back. Dory remembered stopping at a rest area outside of Riggins. After that, her memory went blank. The conditions were clear and dry, but it was dark and there were no lights along that part of the road. There's no lights along.
It's pitch black.
A lot of that road.
This is a road where if there is no one ahead of you, you should probably have your brights on.
Yeah.
If there's no fog or anything.
For sure. The Idaho Transportation Department later wrote that the Garners were on a downhill straightaway, but Jack Garner believed there had been a curve that limited his view. He later told his family members that they came around a corner and suddenly there was the biggest black cow. He said there was no time to do anything.
Well, and that's something that's dependent on speed as well, because
And it's 55 through there.
yeah,
The
the next time I go through here, I'm going to be incredibly focusing on this area.
Okay. I think I have mile markers too in the story, so you can eyeball that. If not, I could.
I'm going to Google map it, and I'm just going to next time, because this is the route that we take to go to many
Outdoor activities.
many extracurricular activities that we love. So the next time I drive this stretch, I'm going to be intensely focused on it.
I just showed the guys when we went up there last weekend. I'm like, this is right here. Okay, this is the place. Oh, actually, let me show you.
Dani is such a queen.
Oh, it's a long picture.
Gosh.
Look how big that
I
is.
just saw a big ass bowl is what I've seen. Where can they find this if they want to find it? Was a part of a news story?
Yeah, Idaho Statesman.
Idaho
go look
State.
up the-
Yeah, there's a picture of the bull, and that's a big old bull for sure.
The Subaru hit the bull squarely in the center of the bumper. The impact flattened the hood and drove the animal into the windshield and roof.
And let me just say that if this type of thing happens, the general advice is not to swerve wildly, is to brake as hard as you can if you can.
And hit square.
And so that's what you can do, because swerving wildly often ends up flipping the vehicle or ending up in a ditch, ravine. So
Well, and Jack said he really didn't even, like, it was just there.
And you know what?
They probably hit that bull going 45 miles an hour.
I can't believe it didn't kill him.
Oh, more to come.
Okay.
The 1-ton bull came down into the front of the car, essentially landing in the couple's laps. You saw the pictures.
What the fuck?
Both suffered bleeding, concussions, and multiple injuries. Dory's left side and head took the brunt. She later learned she had broken bones in her neck and back, deep cuts on her face and hand, and nerve damage that temporarily froze her left eye at a strange angle. She had staples in her scalp and stitches across her forehead. She wore a neck brace and a rigid torso brace for months while the bones healed.
I know. And I imagine you're so, after a traumatic experience like that, you're probably so happy to be alive, but it doesn't mean it doesn't suck.
Oh, no, it was, yeah. Jack suffered a concussion and a dislocated collarbone. Ouch. And collapsed when he tried to walk around the car to help Dory.
Oh.
He's trying to be that. They were just newly married.
And just, that's tough. I think that most people know that with the adrenaline of something of this happened, that they try to be helping someone, and having your body not cooperate with you to do that would be fucking weird.
Yeah. He's trying to go help his wife, and he can't. I mean, he walks around, but he doesn't get there. Emergency crews from council and nearby departments responded. Paramedics and firefighters pried open the Subaru, extricated the Garners, and began treating them in the dark. Lights from emergency vehicles lit the wreck scene. The bull, badly injured and agitated, moved around and then lay near the highway. At some point, it staggered into the Yantis' driveway and then back onto the road. Witnesses said it charged at responders and passing vehicles.
Oh my gosh, that is so terribly sad.
Yeah, you got injured people, an injured animal.
And then the animal, even if it's like a listless charge, it's a huge animal. So even an animal walking at you at like a somewhat fast pace, to me, would be like, holy shit. A bull?
I can't put into perspective how large a 2,500-pound bull would be. Yeah, it's amazing, and it would be very scary.
Well, and it's, an animal injured,
They make no sense.
they're in survival mode.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've ever had a dog that's injured that has never been aggressive to you, and maybe they get hit by a vehicle and then they act aggressive because you've picked them up because they're in so much pain or whatever. Like, like you said, it's unpredictable because.
And you have first responders out there trying to help these people, and then you have this animal. It's basically,
Imagine getting hit by a car at 30 miles an hour. Are you going to act appropriately? And
Harry hit his head jumping into the truck, and he acted like a complete idiot.
And he went on a mission, and he ran away from his parents, and he thought he was going to live his own life in the woods by himself forever.
He did have a little scab. Poor little shit.
He said, I'm going out here by myself.
This truck is mean to me.
This truck tried to kill me. I'm never going in a truck again. And I can be out here as an outdoorsman for the rest of my life.
This is my little 16-pound white dog, by the way. Couldn't survive.
If you can think of the stereotypical, like, little fluffy white dog, that's the dog. Occasionally little tear stains. Dani does a wonderful job of grooming, but there's no getting around it.
No.
They're going to happen. It's that dog, and he thought he was going to live by himself in the wilderness because he was mad because he tripped and had a little kerfluffle getting into the vehicle and concussed himself. And he said, I'm running away.
Bye. Nobody loves me
That
anymore.
truck tried to hurt me, and fuck you guys. I'm fine.
Bye.
And then he realized after a few short minutes, hours, I don't know.
That might not be a good plan for him.
He said, oh, you guys aren't going to be here though?
Okay, I guess
Well,
I'll come.
that does change things.
I like my food. So
I can't just run up to the cabin and, oh, you guys are out of here. Oh,
shit. Okay.
Anyway, I think I'm all right.
I'm good. Let's go.
I think I'm going to be okay. Thank you guys for your concern, though.
But because it was open range and because the bull belonged to a local rancher, dispatchers did what they usually did. They called the owner to come put the animal down.
And in this case, when it's clear that this bull is
Injured.
and acting erratically, and listen, for anyone that hasn't had to like pick up their half dead dog from being hit by a car or whatever, maybe you may not know. I'm sure you can imagine, but you might not know. It still sucks. It sucks a lot, but to see your animal hurting and injured irreparably, it's usually somewhat clear. And every instance is different.
Yep.
Don't get me wrong. But it's like people that own livestock, horses, sheep, cows, chickens, whatever.
Yeah, it's part of the gig.
You never want it to happen.
But you have a sick animal, you have an injured animal that's yeah.
It sucks regardless, but it is part of that life.
But they call the owner. Like, we're not doing this.
And the owner, just like with your pets,
I wouldn't want a vet deciding for me
or
if my animal.
A cop.
Yeah. No, I don't want anybody else deciding for
That's
my
a
animal.
courtesy.
Yep. And so that's what they did up there. That's the kind of county
Everyone knew
it's
them.
the area.
Yeah.
At the Yantis Ranch, up on the hill above the highway, Jack and Donna were finishing dinner with their nephew, Rowdy Paradis, and a family friend, Joe Rumsey. It was about 6:45 p.m. when the Adams County dispatcher called the house. One of their bulls had been hit on the highway. The dispatcher asked Jack to come down and take care of it. Jack had done that grim job before. Ranchers in that county accepted that when their livestock were hit, it was their responsibility to end the animal's suffering, because you can't fix it. So Rowdy walked down the driveway ahead of the others to see what was happening. He found the injured bull near the driveway and later said the animal knew it was at home, hurt, but still ready to fight. The bull weighed about 2,500 pounds, and it was named Keyford. Its rear leg was shattered. Rowdy said it was still, quote, an Angus bull on the fight, unquote. They're feisty. They're not going to recoup from a shattered back leg, but they are still.
No.
So Jack told Rowdy to get the skid steer loader and a chain so they could haul the carcass away. Jack knew what's happening. He knows what's going down. Rowdy asked Donna to bring the families. I'm going to say this wrong. I'm pretty sure I should have called my dad again. 204 caliber Ruger rifle down to the road. Jack took a small four-wheeler down to the drive and parked it near the highway, facing the bull. So Jack's down there with his four-wheeler. He told Rowdy, hey, go get the skid steer loader, because once he puts the bull down, he has to get it off the highway.
Yeah.
By that time, 2 Adams County deputies, Brian Wood and Cody Rowland, had arrived at the crash scene. Emergency workers focused on the Garners, the humans, right?
Because obviously, yeah.
The bull kept moving and charging. According to the deputies, it had to be stopped for everyone's safety. At some point, they began shooting at it.
No shit.
Yeah.
And
Rowdy later described hearing a lot of gunfire before Jack got there. He believed at least one deputy had a semi-automatic rifle, possibly an AR-15. He said the deputies opened up with pistols and then rifles, and that their shots riled the wounded animal and made it charge again. He called it, quote, blazing down there. And he said it sounded like World War III, directed at the bull. The animal finally went down on the pavement, but was still alive and breathing.
And that is shitty. I wish that someone could have administered an effective kill shot. And my opinion might change based on the story. I know we've still got a lot of story left. But for me, if EMTs are trying to administer life-saving, measures, even if they're not life-saving, just people are hurt, they're broken in some type of way.
Humans win over
And
cows. Dani Yantis walked the rifle to her husband, Jack. She handed it to him near the bull. Jack checked it and prepared to put the bull out of its misery with a shot behind the head.
yeah.
Rowdy parked the skid steer so that the light shone on Jack and the animal. Within minutes, Jack Yantis would be dead.
What is happening?
From this point forward, the accounts diverged sharply.
Greatly.
Yeah.
I can imagine. It already sounds like a very drama.
So I'm going to give you some accounts here.
Oh, and this makes me so sad.
According to Donna, Jack stood a few feet behind the bull with the rifle pointed at the back of the animal's head. His finger rested on the trigger. He was focused on lining up a humane shot.
Sure.
The deputy stood some distance away in the opposite lane. Donna said she did not hear any argument. She did not recall any warning or command. She saw a deputy come up behind Jack, grab his arm and shoulder, and jerk him back across the center line, almost off his feet. The rifle stayed in his hands and the barrel pointed downward across his body. She said the deputy had a hold of the scope. As Jack tried to regain his balance, both deputies opened fire. She and Rowdy screamed at them to stop. Jack spun as the bullets hit him, clutching the rifle to his chest with the barrel up toward the sky, and then he fell into the southbound lane.
First impression, awful.
So that's his
And things escalate this way when there's multiple firearms
and it's dark
and agencies. Even if it's different law enforcement agencies, this type of shit can happen. So I'm not justifying it or normalizing it, but it sounds like something triggered a clusterfuck is what it sounds like to me.
Rowdy told investigators from the moment a deputy grabbed Jack until the moment he fell, Jack never had his feet under him. He said Jack never let go of the rifle and kept it down across his body. From about 10 feet away, Rowdy watched one deputy grab Jack's vest and pull him toward the yellow line, then push away from him. Both deputies fired. Rowdy believed the last shot came after Jack was already on the ground and not moving. He remembered seeing sparks on the pavement from the final round. He later said the deputies seemed smug afterward and that one of them threw Jack's rifle into the grass. The deputy's version was different.
It always is. Just generally, just saying.
Wood said Jack came down angry that the deputies had shot his bull and not killed it. Wood said Jack loaded his bolt-action .204 rifle, walked past him, and told him, quote, "Put that piece of shit away," or something similar, referring to Wood's patrol rifle. Wood said Jack then positioned himself so that shooting the bull would mean firing towards first responders and the crashed car. Wood said he told Jack to, quote, "hang on," and took a step forward, and that Jack swung the rifle across his belly and pointed it towards them.
And this is tough because I'm just going to give you my initial reaction is people trained in gun safety, which, listen, even if you're in a very gun positive family, whichever way you lean, doesn't always mean that you've been trained in actual gun safety. So from what I've gathered, it sounds like this is a person who will know the basic rules and no-nos, and you don't ever point a gun towards someone that you don't plan to destroy or kill. So that's where I'm leaning with this, is I don't think that someone like that knows that their animal's injured and knows that there's first responders there caring for people, that I don't think even when people hit cows that a farmer's going to come out and only care about their cow, because they know how much damage it's going to cause. So maybe I'm thinking better of people than most others do. I don't think so, though, because a farmer doesn't want to lose their cow to this. It's never going to easily benefit them.
And I'm not going to comment right now because I want you to hear more. Because
that's just tough for me to believe.
That the rancher was
he shot intentionally towards EMTs.
Yeah. Wood said he yelled at Jack to point the gun down. He said that as Roland stepped upon his left and barked a command, Jack shoved the rifle towards Roland at waist level. Wood said he heard a gunshot that he believed came from Jack's rifle, so he raised his own AR-15 and fired into Jack as fast as he could. He said Jack stayed on his feet longer than he expected and kept hold of his rifle.
I'm sorry. Getting a gunshot from an AR-15 is an incredibly traumatic wound, no matter
Wait till you hear
your size.
Wait till you hear how many times they shot him. Roland told investigators that he believed Jack's firing position would send a bullet towards the first responders and Donna. He said he knew how thick a bull's skull was, and he did not want a round traveling south towards...
Who's thinking about the skull width of a bull?
Nobody.
In this type of quick... Someone's like, if I just calculate the skull width of a bull. No one is fucking... I'm sorry. And I'm a very analytical person. I'm not thinking about the skull width of the bull.
He said that when Wood reached towards Jack's rifle, Jack shoved Wood, lifting Wood's leg off the ground. Roland said he tried to draw his pistol. He said Jack turned toward him and fired from the hip. Roland said he fired 3 or 4 rounds at Jack's rifle and stopped when he saw the barrel go down and thought Jack had shot him because he felt pain in his ribs.
Fired at the rifle? I'm sorry, but I don't know what type of law enforcement, hunting, survival training tells you to shoot at the gun. I don't think anyone tells you that. Listen, I'm just a small, simple, fragile woman. I could be very wrong about this.
But you know what?
Who's shooting at the gun?
Later tests showed no bullet wound on Roland.
Is that?
Was the pain in your hip because you needed to take a shit?
Sometimes some of us have indigestion, Dani, and it's a very serious and not talked about symptom.
An autopsy later showed that Jack Yantis had multiple gunshot wounds to his arms and abdomen and a fatal wound through his chest. The bullet that killed him passed through both lungs and shredded his aorta. Jack had been shot 12 times.
And listen, I know that my experience is different, and I've just seen so many things like this where And there's a few that have been justified, but there's so many that are not justified of someone under police, like
12.
enforcement. And as soon as one shot rings out, it's like a fucking free-for-all opinion. And it almost sounds like this might have been the case as well, because I mean, if it's pitch dark, how many shots didn't hit? He was shot 12 times. These aren't marksmen. I'm sorry. They're not. They're not required to be marksmen.
As Jack lay bleeding on the pavement, neither deputy went to him. Instead, they ordered Donna and Rowdy to the ground at gunpoint.
And that's another thing that and this is constant. Sometimes they will shoot someone to death to the point where they've turned into someone into Swiss cheese, and they're screaming at the person to not resist as they're literally dead, and putting their knees in their neck.
Donna said Roland pointed his gun at her head. Both she and Rowdy were searched and handcuffed in the road. Rowdy said one deputy held an AR-15 to the back of his head, and he believed they were about to be shot.
That's an execution move. I don't care how much I am respecting or cooperating with police or whatever. If someone holds an AR-15,
they were handcuffed
to my head. Why?
You think
do I have a bomb on me?
Like, you think you're going to be shot? If somebody points a gun at me, I think I'm going to be shot.
An AR-15. This is not a BB gun. This is
a family friend, Joe Rumsey, who had moved closer from the crashed car, was also handcuffed because he saw that stuff going on, right?
And he's just trying to be like, what the hell's going on?
He later admitted he had picked up all the shell casings and thrown them down after a deputy confronted him. I wish you wouldn't have done that, Joe.
Joe.
Don't.
Anyway, Joe.
Donna went into cardiac arrest at the scene.
Fuck.
She was taken by ambulance to Midvale and then by a helicopter to Boise, where doctors performed angioplasty and inserted 3 stents in her arteries. She spent more than 2 weeks in the hospital. So she just saw her husband shot to death, and then she has a fucking heart attack while she's in handcuffs.
Which, honestly, I'm surprised that they even allowed, like, medical evac, because a lot of times when this happens, there's been documented cases of people that have been put in jail and they're having like a seizure or some absolutely critical thing, and they're like, you're faking, and then they fucking die. Because it's like, no, they weren't faking.
This poor woman. This poor bull. The bull lay alive for about 2 more hours, slowly dying on the roadway. Family members said it suffocated in its own blood from gunshots.
I bet. Yeah, great.
Jack was pissed. Listen, Jack was pissed that those deputies fucking willy-nilly shooting an AR-15 into the side of a fucking bull. That's not how you kill a bull. That's not how you calm down a bull. You don't put more. He was pissed when he went down there, and I would have been too,
because it's going to put them in a state of fight or flight, and they're fighting.
They're already fighting. So can you imagine how you would feel? And I know a dog is not a cow, but if somebody hit your dog with a car and then they just shot it one time in the stomach, and then it's like, I was trying to put it out of its misery. Calm it down. It was growling at me.
And now it's growling at me more. Yeah. It's being aggressive with me.
I'm going to say for the record that these deputies were fucking idiots for shooting up a bull like that.
Especially because
they made him more agitated.
You would hope they would know better in this area.
Well, we got more story to go. Sheriff Zolman later said that when he arrived, the animal was already dead by the road, and that he did not know who had finally killed it. I don't know who killed it. I don't know if it just laid there and died. Emergency crews at the scene had to pivot from treating the Garners to dealing with the shooting. Chrissy Gipe, an EMT with Council Valley EMS and the county's emergency dispatcher, later told state detectives that she and others were still loading Dory Garner into the ambulance when they heard shots. Someone told them it was probably the bull being put down, so they kept working. Later, a firefighter opened the side door and said someone was down up the hill and needed help. Gipe ran up and saw bodies on the ground in the dark. Rowdy lay face down yelling threats, such as that he should go kill the deputy's family.
God damn.
Another figure lay on his back in the lane of the highway. Gipe and senior EMT Jeff Canfield knelt by Jack Yantis. He was not breathing and had no pulse. They saw large wounds in his abdomen and side. They cleared blood from his mouth, tried to open his airway, and then realized there was nothing more they could do. His eyes were already fixed. And then they covered him with a blanket.
Yeah.
Soon Sarah, Jack and Donna's daughter, arrived. She was also an EMT. She wanted to start CPR on her father. Gipe told her there was no hope and then called Sarah's husband over to lead her away from the scene.
Fucking tragedy.
The first Idaho State Police Trooper, Mark Wright, arrived around 8:46 p.m., more than an hour after the shooting. He met Sheriff Zolman and asked if the dash camera had recorded. He wanted to know whether the deputies had been separated. Zolman told them that they were both in an ambulance and had been there for over an hour. Wright reacted with concern because standard protocol was to separate officers involved in a shooting and keep them from talking to each other before formal interviews.
And that should be the standard with any case, especially and including law enforcement.
EMT Rice Smith later said she warned the deputies not to talk. She recalled hearing Wood tell Roland that he knew that they were not supposed to discuss anything and that he only wanted to know whether Roland had seen the rifle. She heard Roland say he saw the flash and nothing else. Smith said she cut the conversation off. She and another EMT, Shanna Roth, both said the deputies were never alone. So what they're saying is, yes, they were together. The only question he really asked was, did you see the flash from the rifle? And then she's like, shut it.
Which, let me just say, that shouldn't even be a part of their job. If you are part of law enforcement and you want to keep the lines separated, then you should do it yourself. One of my favorite quotes, and I don't even know where it comes from, is manage yourself so that other people don't have to manage you. And it's more eloquent, but that's the gist of it.
Yeah.
And if we could rely on that with law enforcement, then when law enforcement investigates themselves and finds no fault in the fucking ridiculous things that we've all seen as civilians of other things that have happened, maybe we'd trust it. But then you see this shit. And even though the EMT said, yeah, they tried to talk about this, what all happened before you were in the ambulance? Mm-hmm. What all happened when they were walking there? Mm-hmm. What all happened before they were huddling outside, chatting? It just makes it so much more fucking ridiculous. And here's my thing. There can be one bad cop. And if there's 99 good cops that will cover and not do anything about that bad cop and just pretend they didn't see anything and look the other way and not comment on cases, then you have 100 bad cops.
Mm-hmm. Both deputies had their phones. Sheriff Zolman brought Roland's phone from his vehicle. Smith said each of the men called their wives.
Okay.
ISP later said that it did not check phone records to see whether the deputies communicated with one another after the shooting. Investigators said they did not believe they had. How hard is this? Anyway.
I don't like that type of statement. I don't believe they have.
Yeah.
We have the ability to say yes or no.
Because all that does for me is put more credibility into the EMT's statements, is that, no, they didn't talk about anything. This is the one question that they said. And then the other guy said, hey, we're not going to talk about this. We're not supposed to talk about it. And then they both called their wives. If you just check the phone records, it would put more credibility. And I'm not saying that the EMT person is not credible. It just puts more credibility into that statement, because then it's just
a verifiable.
Yeah,
So
it's aligning. It's aligning.
Trust because it's an EMT.
Yeah.
But then verify. Trust
and then it just
verify.
it just puts a stamp of approval on it. Yeah. I'm not saying the EMT is lying or anything, but it just gives more value to the statement because we're all little CSI people now, right? We want evidence. We want it all,
And it's there.
Yeah.
There's oftentimes
that was not a hard, that would not be hard to get at all. No. Okay. So anyway, the deputies were eventually taken separately to the sheriff's office and council. Their uniforms and weapons were collected for evidence. The nearest hotels were far away. We know this.
There's nothing.
They were not put up off-site as protocols would have required. Neither man was interviewed immediately. In Ada County and under the International Association of Chiefs of Police guidelines, formal interviews are usually delayed up to 48 hours, partly to allow the officers to sleep and partly to stabilize memories. Sure. Officers are not allowed to speak to each other during that time. So it's a time for them after, if you've ever had like that spike of adrenaline after a car accident or something, the first thing, like, it's not, you're not
influenced.
Yeah. And you're not clear. You don't have a whole thought process behind it because you're still, adrenaline is a huge thing. I'm not talking about adrenaline like, ooh, we're playing a game and I'm winning. I'm like talking true.
Fear type of
fight or flight kind of adrenaline.
The natural, like, I'm going to die.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a whole thing.
Yeah. So there's not a lot of hotel, motel, Holiday Inns around this area. Like, true, there just isn't. If you need a place after you've encountered a traumatic event, that's not the place to go.
So sure, it's like,
get them an Airbnb.
And it's small. It's a small town thought, thinking, and they're like, just go home, basically. Like,
they don't need a Holiday Inn there. So Holiday Inn, Motel 6,
it's not
La
there.
Quinta. I'm not
There's
advertising.
La Quinta.
No, we don't.
No international
asking
breakfast
for that.
No. So, but that's the standard protocol. But because they're in the backcountry,
Where do you put him? Yeah. No, I get it.
Roland gave his first formal interview on November 3rd at the sheriff's office. Wood spoke to detectives on November 4th at his attorney's office. Both had legal counsel. I have to say fair. I would too.
You know what? What do we always hear? Don't talk to cops.
I don't have my cup up here. Yes. Sword and scale.
Shut the fuck up.
State police detectives later said that 7 months into the investigation, they still believed parts of their stories conflicted with each other and with the physical evidence. So they called Roland back for a third interview on June 3rd, 2016. In that interview, detectives told Roland directly that they did not believe Wood's claim that he never touched Yantis. They pointed out that Donna and Rowdy described a physical struggle, because they both did in their little recounts, and that Roland himself had said Jack shoved Wood. They suggested that Wood had actually grabbed Jack and pulled him back. They even told Roland that an attorney general and a federal prosecutor wanted him to become a witness who would clarify what happened, and implied that his exposure could be different from Wood's because he had not fired the fatal round.
So they're just insinuating,
We got your back.
Things might be a little icky. This is a way that you can make it less icky.
So they're saying, hey, we know this is messy, but we're going to get you out of the mess because
This is your path.
yeah. Roland refused to change his story. He insisted that he would not risk his wife and children's future by lying, and that what he had already said was exactly what he saw. He's like, nice try, guys, but no. This is my story. I'm sticking to it. That conflict among the 4 key witnesses would later play a central role in the prosecutor's decisions. Because the story was a little bit different for everybody.
And this is what's so hard when, there's been studies on it of witnessing a traumatic event and especially even being part of it. Every person's story and viewpoint and their reality of what they think happened. Once it's set, it's set. And it could be wrong. There could be assumptions that you made or, things.
You can
So many
fake
things
your
can
memory.
happen.
You can. It has been proven in studies that
You can rewrite it
yep, you can. Thank you.
of what really happened. And I've seen there's so many where 5 witnesses will testify. The cop said, drop your gun several times. And then I heard the cop shoot. When cameras show the cop shot, and then said, drop your gun, drop. And it's just, if you hear something or that's just what your brain wants to believe or whatever, that's how you think that it should have played out, it can change it.
Yep.
So it's this.
Eyewitness testimony is the least reliable.
It's very tricky, but
evidence.
it's so convincing.
It is.
To a jury.
And
so convincing.
I know that there have been times where I thought something happened a certain way, and that not to this degree, right? But they said
On your
this.
camera at home,
Yeah.
where I'll be like, I swear we talked about this, and then you told me that weird thing, or I swear I brought my purse out with me. Like my purse has got to be out here somewhere, and I watched the camera. I'm like, no, the heck I didn't have it.
Right.
So where is it? It's
Just those simple things like that.
It's very fickle, and your brain just wants to make you happy and protect yourself, and it will do something.
No, I didn't leave that out of the fridge.
I would never do that.
I would never leave the milk out.
I've never done it. I wouldn't do it. Whoopsie, did it.
Look at the cameras. Yep.
It's me. Hi. I'm the problem. It's me.
Yeah.
I'm not even a Swiftie. Please don't get that. It's just catchy. I don't want that reputation. Oh, another Swiftie reference. Maybe I am secretly a Swiftie and I don't remember it.
God.
Oh, I hate that I said it that way. Anyway, if you're listening, you know you weren't. You did not hear that. Your memory's deceiving you.
Body camera footage could have settled many of those disputes. It did not exist.
It wasn't. They didn't have it for the.
Oh, you're going to be pissed.
Oh, my God.
Adams County had equipped deputies with Taser Axon body cameras. Roland later said he left his in his vehicle that night. Wood said he had his camera on in standby mode during the incident and believed he had activated it when the bull became an issue so that it would record. He told detectives he thought it had captured the bull shooting and then continued through the encounter with Yantis. A forensic review of the camera proved otherwise.
Oh, they might have ways to prove whether that is correct or not.
The device activities log showed it had not recorded anything on November 1st until 7:36 p.m., roughly 10 minutes after the shooting.
Oh.
It then tried to record twice more about 20 minutes later. The log also showed the camera's memory had been full since October 24th.
Oh, so
a week before.
It was just not gonna.
So the Taser spokesman explained that the camera had no delete function in the field and that only an administrator could remove footage with an audit trail.
So yeah, aren't they supposed to be logging?
Yeah.
This so that if
nobody, the police, they can't delete it is what
Yeah.
this company is saying. And if anything is adjusted There
It
is
leaves
a
paper
trail. Yeah, there's a paper trail. There was no indication that anyone had deleted the video. The simple answer was that Wood's camera did not have space to record and that he had not successfully activated it in time. Period. In the story. Dash camera footage from the deputy vehicles also did not exist.
That's been around since the freaking, what, 80s, 90s?
At least the 90s.
Yeah. At least the 90s. There was so much.
Forever.
So this is not a new technology, or I'm learning, or I'm not used to it. I don't know how to turn it on and make sure that it's ready. That is some bullshit.
Sheriff Zolman later said the dash cam at the scene was not turned on.
Not turned on? Yeah. It should always be, I thought that it, activated when they put their lights on or something. It should, in my opinion.
I did not research that. Now I'm pissed.
I'm just Oops, I left my body cam in my vehicle. That's I left my homework at home. It's done, I promise. I know it's part of my duties.
The dog ate it.
Yeah, I'm pissed. You were right.
ISP released that detail and left open questions about training and supervision.
Clearly.
Yeah. At a town meeting, Zolman said deputies had been advised to wear body cameras and to keep them running more consistently after the shooting.
If you guys could be a little bit more consistent, and especially if shots are happening and there's fights and a bull and everything that should trigger you to record something, if you could do it a little bit more consistently, that would be
that'd be kind of
cool.
So investigators had to turn to the physical evidence. No camera. There was three shots there.
Different
for cameras.
Stories.
So yeah, we had 2 body cameras not used, dash cam not used. Okay, so
what a coinky dink.
They collected Jack's .204 Ruger rifle, which lay near the fog line in the northbound lane. Wood said he had thrown it away from the body after the shooting. The stock was broken. Tests showed that it had been struck by bullets, and the act of throwing it might have caused more damage. A bullet fragment found in the road could have come from the .204 round, but it was too deformed to link conclusively to the rifle.
Awesome.
Because they're just trying to figure out if Jack pulled the trigger. Lab work on Roland's clothing and gear did not confirm that a bullet from Yantis' rifle had hit him. Because remember, he had said
he felt,
no obvious bullet hole, powder burn, or damage consistent with such a hit was found. Investigators also noted that if Yantis had fired at Roland and missed, the bullet should have hit something nearby.
I have to just pause to bring up something. I'm not trying to be too squirrely here, but this brought back a memory of, this was a viral video maybe a year ago of a police officer that they had put a suspect handcuffed into the back of a cruiser or a SUV type thing. And this is all on body cam from many angles, where an acorn falls and hits the cruiser. The police officer assumes it's a shot from the handcuffed person that they just searched. Where's the gun? Let's try to use a little bit of critical thinking. Thinks it's a gunshot that has hit him. And I might be wrong on this detail or not. I will find the video for us if you never saw it. It was wild. But that cop gets down and then starts blasting into their own cruiser at the handcuffed person, which causes their partner to also start shooting. Everybody's blasting. And it was just such a thing. There was memes about cops and acorns for months of
You will have to show me that because I don't think I've seen that. But, so they're trying to find this bullet that Jack shot.
Yeah.
They did not find ricochet marks on any vehicles or equipment. The only .204 cartridge in the rifle's chamber had an empty shell casing, indicating the rifle had cycled.
Okay.
Investigators could not determine whether that happened from an intentional shot, an accidental discharge during a struggle,
Yeah.
or as a result of the deputies' gunfire striking the weapon. Because
Wonderful.
they shot the shit out of that
the gun.
gun.
Okay.
The absence of clear ballistic proof and the conflicting accounts left prosecutors with a tangle that would take months to untie.
Yeah.
Okay. In the days after the shooting, Adams County immediately felt the shock because this is a tiny place.
Yeah.
Remember, we're talking 3,800 residents.
And that's another shock that it escalated to this, because if you're cops in that town, listen, you know, cops do have a bad reputation sometimes, but I feel like if you know of or know the family of, you would think it would spark a little bit more empathy or a little bit more decision making, giving yourself some time before making a decision like this to turn this entire thing into such a shit show. But it doesn't appear that was the case here. Like, strange.
So Adams County is 1,365 square miles. That seems pretty significant. I want to just see, just to compare to like Ada County, if I can find Ada County. It's a large county with a little bit of people.
Yeah.
So, news of the longtime rancher killed by deputies over a wounded bull spread quickly throughout council and then across Idaho. Everybody knew Jack out there.
Mm-hmm. And this is a traumatic, chaotic thing.
Yeah.
It's traveling fast.
The Adams County Sheriff's Office began receiving angry calls and letters. Some callers called the deputies murderers. Others threatened the sheriff and his staff. At one point, a dispatcher became so upset by the calls that she had to leave her post. Sheriff Zolman said he brought in a crisis management team from the 2C to help his small 10-officer department cope. Other law enforcement agencies, including the Idaho Department of Fish and Game and the Boise Police Department, offered to cover calls while his deputies processed what happened. Because this didn't just affect the two officers there. Can you imagine what the
Because then they think you're all in on it.
Yep.
And sometimes that has proven to be true.
Right. But I think that in this particular case, I think that the whole community was shocked, which included law enforcement up there. They're worried about their friends. A lot of them, I bet you out of those 10 people in the office, in the deputy's office, they probably all knew Jack.
Or knew of him, yeah.
He was a very
way they
prominent,
didn't-
I mean, there's, a handful of cafe.
And they probably know the people that are calling, which
Yeah.
is another thing where it's like, I'm just Susan we worked at the grocery store together. Like,
why is she?
I wasn't the one out there shooting. Like, if you're having to field those calls,
Yeah.
and that's some bullshit.
That would be traumatic.
Put the damn cops on the line that were there. Not really. I don't really know what happened, but it sucks when when something happens with your company or whatever, and you have
It
to take
affects
the brunt of
everybody.
it. Yeah.
The Yantis family grieved and buried Jack. Donna recovered slowly from her heart attack. At home, she wore a heart monitor and tried to keep her pulse under 100. She could not attend the public memorial service that drew a standing room crowd at the Council High School gym on November 15th. Friends and classmates from the class of 1971 told stories of boyhood blood brothers ceremonies, football games, deer hunts, first loves, and early fistfights that turned into lifelong friendships. So he had a lot of people that...
He's a well-liked guy.
Yeah.
And again, why so many people showed up, because it's almost unthinkable, the small townness of it. Why did it get this much? Like, why couldn't anyone there, cops, family, anyone, de-escalate this? No one could keep a cool head. That's crazy.
And I do feel, and I know a little bit more than you, but I really do feel like that was the sheriff's deputy's responsibility
That's their job.
to
to de-escalate,
for
their own safety, for one, and I know that it's protect and serve, right? And that's the people in your community.
His daughter Sarah told about the pussy willows he picked for her every February after she was born.
Oh.
So she had some, it's a very sweet story. Oh, I'm going to tear up. So, and I didn't write this down, so I hope we get it right. She had some medical issues when she was born.
Okay.
And on the way to take her to a bigger hospital, he stopped and picked up pussy willows for her. And so that was his thing for her every year. Anyway, I thought it was sweet.
That is really
for some big lumberjack rancher dude. Yeah.
And that to continue it.
Yeah.
That's really sweet.
People talked about his mischievous grin, his slow, deep laugh, and the sense that he was always thinking 2 steps ahead. Several friends said they hoped something good for the valley would eventually come from such a senseless tragedy.
Right.
Meanwhile, the rest of the community is looking for answers. The sheriff's office released only basic information.
Typical.
Idaho State Police said their detectives were leading the investigation at the sheriff's request. And I'm sorry, it wasn't.
No, I know. I just want you to be able to.
We're leading the investigation at the sheriff's request and asked for witnesses to come forward. They noted that traffic had been backed up for nearly an hour after the crash. And you're not going anywhere out there. You're sitting. And that there were likely motorists who had seen parts of the scene, even if they had not seen the shooting itself. So they're like, all right, y'all were sitting out there forever. Give us what you got, please. Council school officials brought in counselors for students, because it's such a small community. Churches
Now the community's fighting, and now you hear this from your parents, or your friends' parents, and you're hearing different things.
You'd be like, you could hear like maybe he was,
the tension is real.
That these sheriffs are bad, or maybe
the family's bad and tried to attack. Who knows what the rumor mill
but it's a lot
what they're hearing.
Churches organized a vigil where prayers were offered not only for the Yantis family, but also for the sheriff's office and for the deputies who had fired their guns. The dark weather that week seemed to match the mood. Residents described the atmosphere as one of disbelief and anxiety. Many people were angry at law enforcement. Others tried to withhold judgment until the investigation finished. The local paper's editor called the emotional weight a suffocating blanket. I can't imagine. That would be the only thing everybody was talking about.
And everyone wants to talk to everyone about it. And it starts creating camps of, it's not like, oh, do you like or not like strawberries? Who gives a shit? It's, do you think this person was wrong or not? And it's one of those guttural, like, very tearing apart a community style thing.
Sheriff Zolman, who was part of Pastor Les Scheinberger's congregation, decided to hold a town hall meeting at a local church. On November 10th, he faced about 300 people, nearly half the town's population.
Damn.
He stood in front of them, and he said he came with a heavy heart. He apologized for not speaking sooner, and he said Idaho State Police had not shared details with him because he's not investigating this. It's gone. It's out of his pocket.
I do like that he did this because that would be intimidating. So he wasn't there, right? He's just...
No, he went in front of...
No, but he wasn't at the...
Right, he was not. He showed up later. Of course, after... The sheriff's going to show up after the deputies have shot somebody, but...
No. To go into a small town where everyone is packing and has guns and face it. It's hard in any situation when you have to be the face and you weren't the one that did it and things.
And this, I feel like, would be way more intimate than like what you see on these, on TV with people doing these press conferences.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone
knows each other.
Yeah. He was in his church talking to his community. It's a big deal. He promised to talk to the community again when the state and federal prosecutors decided whether to charge his deputies. And basically, he can't say shit. And I feel...
He's saying, I hear you.
I hear you.
I wish I had answers.
But I can't give... Even if he He can't give out. It's an ongoing investigation. He can't give out details. He's like, I hear you. I hear your frustration. I will tell you when I can tell you. I don't think a lot of people were pleased with that.
It's good to at least acknowledge it because then it's not they're hiding from us. They won't
Right.
even talk to
They
us.
still felt that way because residents pressed him on several
Oh,
issues.
I'm sure because then they have their opportunity to air their griefs with him.
They wanted to know why the deputies' names had not been released because they hadn't been released to the public yet. But in a small town,
Everyone fucking knows.
Zolman said he had received threats and someone had posted a photo of his own house online.
I'm sure people get psycho crazy.
He said he was worried about the deputies' safety as well. Some asked why the deputies were on paid leave instead of in jail. Others said that they did not trust the government investigations. Of course, I mean, we're talking very conservative.
True. Well, and I mean, especially when anything like this happens, that's a super valid question because if it was any of us, let's say that we're the one that hits the bowl and then we get in the kerfluffle with the
And
family.
start shooting
and no one knows who did what. If we don't
somebody will be in jail.
and if we
by
don't
the end
have
of
the
the night.
bail to do it, even if there is a bail, if we can't afford it, we're sitting in jail waiting.
If somebody gets shot, somebody's going to jail. Period.
Not the case in these cop shooting situations.
Well, and they said not only did they not trust the government investigations, they said all investigations is under one roof of government.
We're investigating ourselves.
Yeah. One resident said if their tax dollars paid for body cameras, then the body cameras needed to be on.
Fantastic point. This is
I'll take 14 of those.
You've taken my money, just so that you can forget to go and download and offload all your memory, and forgot to turn your dash cam on, which should be completely. And here's the thing: if you're not doing it, it could very well save your own ass if you're behaving
That's it.
well. If
Right.
you're behaving well, it could save your own ass.
This would have saved these deputies so much heartache if that had been on, and
Yeah.
if their stories
Was
is what
the way
Yep.
was the way it happened.
like, oh,
Boom,
dude,
look, you can see him shooting at us. Whatever. If you're behaving well, you should want your body camera on to be like, yeah, you're not going to get, not today. I'm doing my job the correct way.
thank you. You can check all receipts. That is why I save my emails and shit.
I don't delete them, especially work emails.
No.
Someone ever comes and says, Stephanie, I asked you for this 3 months ago, and for some reason you never replied. And I'm like, oh, didn't I? I'm going to include everyone that was involved in this, and I'm going to forward the email and say, oh gosh, I did see that I sent you this 2 months ago, a few weeks
It's
before.
attached here for your convenience.
Yeah.
Have you ever used that?
Say, oh gosh, I did attach it here for you. Who knows what happened. I hope this helps.
I sent that to you, yeah.
Oh, I hope this helps whatever you were needing. Especially when they like CC your boss and they're like, oh, why? And you're like, I'm gonna fucking destroy you.
Send.
So satisfying.
It is.
And that's one of the points where I love corporate speak of like,
Oh, were you looking for this?
oh, please see my previous email. I'm not sure what happened to that.
I've attached it here. Thank you. And it's not forwarding the email. You actually just attach
Yeah.
it. You got to do that. Like that's the thing. Blah, blah, blah.
So happy to help anytime. Let me know if there's anything else that's needed.
That meeting, that meeting lasted about 45 minutes. That's a lot. Organizers asked people not to record it, but one woman filmed it on her phone for a relative who could not attend. Outside council interest grew. Lieutenant Governor Brad Little, himself a rancher, told the Idaho Statesman that the shooting was an absolute tragedy. He noted that the Yantis family and he had connections, and he said that he doubted there could ever be a fair trial in Adams County. Fair.
Yeah.
He speculated that the deputies might not have known exactly where to shoot a bull, and that in his own experience, authorities often called ranchers to deal with injured livestock at night. An injured livestock, period.
Well, and it's theirs
Yeah.
too. So I think it's kind of a respect thing as well. Like,
Yeah.
you want to be the one to do it, you know? Like,
If you can be here in the next 10 minutes, you're going to do it. Or if you're out of town, do you want us to do it? Or do you have a family member?
like, what do we need to do? Yeah, because which is what I would want. But it's something that the ranchers should be used to, is having to put an animal down because they've injured
he was.
themselves, or
That's why.
it's weird, this whole thing.
Yeah. The crash also reignited debate over open range laws. Environmental advocates such as Western Watersheds Ken Cole argued that absolving livestock owners of liability along high-speed highways no longer made sense. Lieutenant Governor Little warned fellow ranchers that if a school bus ever hit a bull, open range law in Idaho would likely change dramatically. True.
Yeah.
The Idaho Farm Bureau responded that getting rid of open range would not prevent cattle from ever wandering onto roads. They're not letting their cows wander on the highway. They're just getting out. And that the law simply recognized the order in which various land uses had arrived in the West. So this has been a long-going thing. Ranchers are not letting them just wander around on the fucking highway.
This.
They do not want their animals to perish. So I don't know. Maybe it's just because I've grown up here. I'm okay with the law. It does not bother me.
Me either.
Those legal debates became personal.
Yeah.
After months in the hospital and grueling recovery, they returned home to Nampa. Their medical bills reached into the tens of thousands of dollars.
I'm surprised it was only that much.
Jack eventually got back to work as a respiratory therapist. Dory lost her job as a family assistant and nanny and prepared to look for a new one once her body and vision improved.
Sure.
Because she had that bum eye.
Oh, yeah.
She later said that when she first saw herself in a mirror with staples in her head, stitches in her face, and her eye pulled down and to the side, she thought she looked like a Frankenstein's bride.
That's so awful. I can't imagine looking at yourself.
Still grateful, right, to be alive.
Yeah, but then you're like, to not recognize yourself for any reason is a very unsettling thing.
She still struggled with double vision, but used corrective lenses to drive. She and Jack tried to get back small pieces of their life, including slow dancing in their living room. Oh. They were newlyweds. Even though they're older, they were newlyweds.
And they've been put through the ringer right off the bat. That's a test to a relationship at 20 years.
Yeah.
So, wow.
Dory learned the full story of the shooting only after she left the hospital. She said she could not let what happened to Jack Yantis stop her from arguing for changes to open range law. She said she respected ranchers and knew animals could always push down fences, but believed livestock near high-speed highways should be fenced away or that speed limits should be lower. I will say, I'm not trying to put Dory down on anything. These ranchers want their animals fenced.
And I understand why because she has experienced the real life and lifelong consequences of this happening. And just so everyone knows, we're not saying they were driving irresponsibly.
Absolutely not.
Like, we don't know that, and that's not what we're trying to say. But, and I appreciate that she said, yes, livestock can push down cattle. I think we may have mentioned this earlier, but there's also people that hit these fences and drive off because they're like, I'm not calling the cops. I can drive away. There's other things, trees that fall and whatever. Sometimes it's fire,
Yeah.
Things happen when you have hundreds of miles of fence.
And it's unfortunate. But yeah, I don't think that they did anything wrong. It's just an incredibly horrible experience for everybody involved in this story.
Yeah, and I bet that they were like, this happened. Were they gone when this whole shooting happened? Had they already been left the scene?
I am not sure.
I don't know if they would have remembered it anyway.
No,
or whatever,
I mean,
but
she doesn't.
No one wanted that to happen. I'm sure.
Because there was still, I think they might have still been there because
they could have been put away.
And I'm telling you, there's no fast way to get anything up there. So, because I'm just going back to EMTs still being there and having that other ambulance there where the cops are sitting in, I am sure.
Yeah, they definitely didn't want this to happen on top of them already being horrifically injured.
She pointed out that under current law, she and Jack could theoretically be liable not only for their injuries and car damage, but also for replacing the bull. She said crashes like theirs could be rare, not routine. She also expressed gratitude for the emergency workers and deputies who first responded to the crash, and she said she wanted to go back and thank them in person. At the time, she offered sympathy to Dani Yantis, who had lost her husband in the chaos. So these are good people.
Yeah,
they're good people.
And they're appreciative for the deputies because they were probably the first on scene, and so they're just trying to say, "You guys helped us," Yeah.
9 days after the shooting, the FBI announced that it would open a separate investigation for possible federal civil rights violations. U.S. Attorney Wendy Olson explained that federal law prohibited officers from willfully depriving someone of constitutional rights, and that excessive force cases often rested on whether an officer's actions were unreasonable under the Fourth Amendment. Okay. So now we got the feds in here.
Ooh.
She said the federal probe would be independent from the state investigation and that her office would coordinate with the Idaho Attorney General's office. This is big time.
It's getting serious.
Yeah. By early 2016, Idaho State Police detectives had interviewed more than 40 witnesses and processed thousands of pages of reports, photographs, and forensic lab results. They submitted 28 pieces of evidence to the labs. ISP Captain Bill Gardner said detectives worked steadily and would soon return everything over to the Attorney General. ISP was still waiting on final lab reports in March. So, we're talking November to March.
Takes time.
And the FBI investigation continued.
And they are thorough, so they're not doing anything haphazardly quickly.
Despite that work, council residents and Yantis supporters grew frustrated with the pace.
It's natural. I mean,
they want answers. And because it's an investigation, there's no answer.
There's no information
there's nothing
at all.
Right. Activists created Justice for Jack Facebook pages and organized rallies. On March 5th, 2016, about 75 people marched through council, again, calling for transparency, prison sentences for the deputies, and a new sheriff. They're bad.
Ooh, they're coming for everyone.
Because I do think that sometimes, unfortunately, I understand a police investigation, they can't release any information, but I think that it also creates this tension and then distrust. And,
100%.
And then it just balls up into this.
No, it does. And it sucks that the sheriff is also being they're trying to recall or revote or, do whatever they need to do to get him out because he wasn't part of it. But listen, if you're the leader,
they fall.
It doesn't sound like this was a one-off of just so happened that one guy's camera was full and the other guy left his in the car.
Can we use them more consistently, please?
So, unfortunately, when you are at the head of an organization, even if you had, let's say he had documented, you better do this, and you're trying to get it to happen, if it wasn't happening, that's your job. Sucks. But
that's why I get paid the big bucks.
And it's your responsibility. And unfortunately, whatever factors led into this, some terrible shit happened and it was under your watch. Shitty.
Yep. Some community members held signs counting the days since the shooting.
I can see that.
Organizer Rebecca Barrow said she planned to keep rallying every couple of months. She and others demanded that deputies Cody Rowland and Brian Wood be charged with murder. Alvin Yantis, Jack's brother, said they would see what happened in the next sheriff's election. Veiled threat for sure.
Right? Oh, well, it's just we're around.
Supporters also targeted the Attorney General's office. In May, Michael McLaughlin, a Jordan Valley truck driver who ran several Justice for Jack pages, coordinated a letter and email campaign. About 60 people called or wrote to demand action and charges against the deputies. they're pissed.
Mm-hmm. And 60 doesn't seem like a lot, but when you think of the size of the town,
Yeah,
and
that's a good chunk.
yeah.
McLaughlin said he posted daily how many days had passed since Jack's death and that people from across the United States and even overseas followed the case.
Oh, I bet.
He later helped organize a rally outside of the Attorney General's office in Boise.
They're taking it. And listen, especially when you've gone through any tragedy, you try all the outlets that you can. And I think people know that things move slow, but you feel like the urge to want to do something. I think that's very human. Of I have to do something in my power now. I know that I can't force the judicial system to move faster than a glacial pace. You know how that thrills me. But so you branch out in other ways, and that's
Community outreach
Kim
is huge.
Fest. That's where Kim Fest started. Is we wanted to do something where we feel like we can make a difference, and it's hard work, but it's something you're passionate about, and it's a part of healing too. Is I have to do. You feel a personal responsibility. I have to do something.
Dani Yantis sometimes shared her reflections through McLaughlin's page. In one long message, she described Jack's character, his work ethic, his leadership roles in football, 4-H, and the Cattle Association, and his habit of helping people in need. She urged people to focus not on an old small town election sign from when he had once run for sheriff, but on the loss of a good, honest, hardworking man. So he did run for sheriff at one time.
That's so crazy that happened.
All that time, the two deputies remained on paid administrative leave. Their identities eventually became public because it's a small town. Brian Wood was 31 at the time of the shooting. Cody Rowland was 38. Records later released as part of the investigation showed both had complex employment histories and prior discipline.
What a euphemism. Complex employment histories. Wow. Okay.
Wood had started his law enforcement career as a McCall police officer in 2010. In 2011, Idaho Fish and Game cited him for killing a spike elk without a valid tag in Valley County.
Poaching?
He initially pleaded not guilty, but later changed his plea to guilty on 2 misdemeanors, unlawful possession of wildlife and hunting without a tag. A third charge, wasting wildlife, was dismissed. He paid more than $1,000 in fines, completed community service, and lost his hunting license for 3 years.
I'm surprised they can really nail you to the wall with these like poaching type of thing. They can take your truck if you used your truck.
Mm-hmm.
They can
Fish and Game has so much power.
They can ban you from hunting for your life. Anything. That's crazy.
McCall's internal investigation concluded that he had violated hunting laws and department policies on moral conduct. The city fired him in November of 2011. The State Post Division opened a decertification investigation. Wood later filed a tort claim alleging that a post investigator had improperly shared confidential interview information. This is 10 weeks after he filed.
We're getting catty here.
10 weeks after he filed, Post dismissed the decertification case. Wood spent some time working in construction and other jobs when he was hired by Adams County in 2013 as a part-time Marine deputy and soon became full-time. Sheriff Zolman later said he did not know about Wood's firing in McCall. How could you not? Zolman did not know about the Post inquiry also when he hired. He didn't,
Okay. We just don't know anything. Are we not even making any calls?
You're hired.
Like, are they not allowed to say something? I know some companies, some corporations, they can't say anything.
This is a public entity. Thank you.
Why can't you say, they're just, it's almost like the Catholic Church shit where they were moving all of those fucking weirdos around. Like, you are in trouble. You cannot be here anymore. And then they know that they're in another place.
Yep.
They have a registry of where everyone's at. They know that they went to another place and they're preaching again.
They're covering it up.
Oh, I'm getting hated.
Yeah. Former McCall, I'm just giggling because you're going to be so much more mad. Former McCall Chief Jerry Summers said no one from Adams County asked him for a reference.
So we're not even trying.
And not so Idaho.
We're not even.
Nobody ever asked me about him.
I like the look of this resume. I like the layout. They put, green's my favorite color. They formatted it in 7 different shades of green. The sky's the winner. What the fuck's happening?
Wood also had been sued once before for alleged excessive force.
And for it to get to a place of suing.
In 2011, a 78-year-old man claimed Wood handled him roughly during a traffic stop. While working in McCall, Wood pulled over a vehicle for speeding. The elderly driver, who never imagined that a routine traffic stop would leave him injured and traumatized. Yeah.
I'm fucking livid.
The driver was 78-year-old Rodney Whaley. He was a retired man who kept to himself, and according to his family, he still drove carefully enough that they teased him for tapping the brakes at every curve. He was speeding.
Okay.
But not.
And I don't care. Even if a 78-year-old man is aggressive with you, I'm not trying to say this in a demeaning way, but a 78-year-old man, a brittle man, if a brittle man is coming at you and you're a young sprite, I don't know if he's the 31-year-old or the 38-year-old. You're in the prime of your life,
You're
man,
a piece of shit.
For you to feel threatened enough or whatever the fuck the excuse was that you harmed an elderly I think most of us could take down a 78-year-old man and do it gently.
He did not.
Oh, surprise.
On the night Wood pulled him over, Whaley expected a warning or a ticket.
Sure.
Like, you got me.
Yeah, give me a ticket.
Instead, he reported being yanked from his vehicle with force that stunned him. He said Wood dragged him onto the pavement so abruptly that his knees buckled and his chest hit the ground before he could brace himself. In the lawsuit that followed, Whaley described the impact as a shock that rippled through his ribcage and spine. Whaley suffered injuries to his shoulder and lower back. The pain set in immediately, and he told investigators that he felt something give when Wood forced his arms behind him. In the medical records referenced in the civil complaint, doctors noted soft tissue trauma, bruising along the right hip, and restricted range of motion in his left arm. His family said he winced every time he tried to lift a cup of coffee for days. I would be so pissed if this was my dad.
Someone's papa?
Yeah.
Someone's papa? And I'm, again, even if someone's being an asshole or a dick that's 78 years old.
Hey, why don't you try those de-escalation skills you should fucking learn?
You can't just be like, I'm sorry, I'm bear hugging you and you're getting into my, like, what the fuck is this? If they're not armed.
And look, I can appreciate a crotchety old man. Let him be crotchety.
He said,
I'm crotchety at my age.
Ticket.
Yeah, just
write it.
Even if he said, get it done, kid, whatever the fuck you need. Who cares? You do not yank him out of the car.
Yeah, we don't need to be yanking a brittle old man.
But the emotional toll was worse. Whaley said he lay on the ground, confused and scared, hearing Wood shout commands he struggled to follow. He later told his attorney that he thought he might die during the stop because he could not catch his breath with his chest pressed to the asphalt.
Scary.
He remembered the cold road, the weight on his back, and the sense that something had spiraled far beyond what a simple speeding stop should have been.
A what the fuck moment.
Whaley sued the city of McCall.
Get him.
And the case ended with a $14,500 settlement.
Yeah, so not only are you paying their salaries, their pensions, which can sometimes, like the pension type of it, depending on how they have it set up, is very lucrative for policemen. So not only are we paying for that, we're also paying for all of their bad deeds. That's the whole judicial system because they're part of the judicial system, right? So if they're found guilty, that means that they really fucked up. We're paying for that. And then, even if you do fire them, one of your neighbors in another county or state, guess what? Now
Resume looks good, bruh.
Now your taxes get to pay for their bad deeds and salaries. It's just, it fucking there has to be a different way to do this shit.
But that money for Whaley wasn't enough to erase his injuries or the fear that lingered long after the bruises faded. His family said he avoided driving at night for months. He began checking the rearview mirror more often, and this is such a papa thing. He carried a small notebook in his car because he wanted to have something to write on if things went wrong again.
That is such a papa thing. Like how, and that's, I feel like that's how you know that it really affected him. Like it wasn't just he was saying
keeping
that.
the notebook.
Like, I'm going to get out my notebook and I'm going to write down that you told me that I'm a, get out of the fucking car, you dick bag, or whatever the hell happened,
Poor Mr. Whaley. I think that's horrible. Inside the McCall Police Department, the complaint should have raised red flags. But according to state investigative records, Wood was not disciplined for the traffic stop.
And that's the culture.
He had no remedial training ordered. Wonderful. No review board was triggered. Whaley's injuries were acknowledged only in settlement paperwork, and Wood remained on the force until that later poaching incident finally resulted in his termination.
Fish and Game's the one that fucking had to put the nail in the coffin.
You can beat up an old man,
but you poach a deer.
You poach a deer.
It was.
A spike.
Yeah, it was a deer.
You're fired. That pisses me off.
Yeah.
In 2015, a few months before the Yantis shooting, Wood's supervisors in Adams County had him put on probation for 4 months because he repeatedly turned in late reports. That probation period would have ended around November 1st.
And that's, to even be on probation, it takes a lot to get even a slap on the wrist.
Yeah, I think sheriff should have probably correlated not turning on your cameras and late reports. Like, you're not even fucking
fishiness.
That your job is more than just driving around in a car
and being the big dog on campus.
Roland's work history covered 6 Idaho agencies since 2000.
Oh, I wonder why that was.
Including sheriff's offices in Adams, Canyon, and Valley counties, and police departments in Gooding, Parma, and Wilder. I can see these areas, right?
Me too.
Gooding's a little stretch out there, but state investigation documents showed that Valley County had investigated or disciplined him 4 times. 1 speeding stop led to counseling for his attitude.
Oh, I hate that. Which was probably a slap on the wrist for being an absolute psychopath.
An off-duty incident in 2008 resulted in a reprimand and a year of probation for conduct unbecoming.
Off-duty incident, so that means, you're acting like a piece of shit outside the uniform. And I see this a lot with cops. Again, I know this isn't every cop. Please do not get crazy. But where cops, when they're off-duty, think that they have the same authority. Like pulling people over.
Oh, I've seen that on
TikTok. That's that type of shit.
I'm gonna arrest you. Like, no, you're what? I'm a cop. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And look, I appreciate law enforcement. I'm just gonna call it when I call.
Yeah.
When I see it, I'm gonna call it. Like these. There's some douchebaggery going on here. In 2010. A confidential informant's information triggered an internal investigation by a regional narcotics task force. Records did not detail the allegations, and Roland said he never knew the specifics and was later told the matter was dropped. There's some shady shit.
I think someone was stealing meth from the fucking evidence locker.
In 2011, Post contacted Valley County about inconsistencies in his employment and Post applications regarding military service. On one form, he said he had served and received a general discharge under honorable conditions. On another, he said he had not served. Post records showed that he had been given an uncharacterized entry-level separation. Rowland said the confusion came from a Navy hearing loss waiver that was later rescinded and that he had received a DD-214, I hope I said that right, military, a DD-214 form, even though he never truly served. So, do you know what the DD-214?
I have no idea.
It's a piece of paper proving you served. So, like if you want to get a VA loan,
Sure. Okay.
we ask for their DD-214.
And can they get that if they are dishonorably or honorably or only
No,
honorably?
they can get it. No, it just proves that you served.
Okay.
So, but he never served because he got a hearing loss waiver, but it was later rescinded, and he should not have gotten that DD-214, but he did. So he used
What
that.
in the fuck?
I know. He said that when he learned he should not have that form, I will give him a little leeway. If you don't know, you don't know.
You got it and you think that it counts. Okay.
But you never really
allow for
served.
it.
He said that when he learned he should not have that form, he stopped listing the military service. So that kind of explains why it was on some resume and that it wasn't. He resigned from Valley County before the sheriff there could address the issue. He's like,
That also says something to
that
me.
heat is hot. Valley County later declined his employment, calling it a personnel matter. Those histories became important to Yantis supporters who argued that the sheriff should have never hired them and who opposed their return to duty. Because they're just on leave. That'd be very scary.
And so they're saying these people already had the euphemism, complex work histories. I'm doing interviews at work right now, and I can't wait for someone to say, my work history is complex.
And you should just note one that's complex. It'd be funny.
And that's going to be a red flag for me.
Yeah.
But they're saying you've already fucked up a lot of times, and now this huge tragedy has happened. What the fuck? I understand it.
They also became a factor in later legal filings.
I'm sure they did.
During the long wait for prosecution decisions, tensions inside the Adams County Sheriff's Office also surfaced. In January of 2016, Lieutenant Steve Phillips, a friend and fellow Post Academy graduate of Wood, told the Idaho State Police detectives that he believed Wood had become unstable and dangerous in the weeks after the shooting. Phillips said Wood's father had asked him to talk to his son because Wood was considering suicide. That's unfortunate. Phillips said he spent hours with Wood and tried to help him and his wife through marital problems and grief. This is a lot of
And
regardless, right or wrong, which it's gonna go down later, the amount of pressure that would put on your marriage for his wife would probably escalate. Things have escalated now.
Now everything in my life is fucked.
Yes. He told detectives that Wood twice threatened that there would be, quote, gunplay if officers tried to take his guns, involve law enforcement in mental health holds, or if he lost his job. So this guy,
He's basically saying if anything happens to my job, my guns, my employment,
shit's going down.
that's
And
not
so-
good.
This guy, Phillips, was like, this is something
This
beyond.
is a good cop behavior where he stood up and went against the thin blue line
Yep.
to say, because listen, there, people that are mad at employment, cops or not, there's been many mass shootings and workplace violence and
Have you ever heard the phrase?
going postal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a real thing.
So for someone to speak up, that it takes a lot and it sucks, especially this is a friend that has tried to help them, for it to be that bad where he's like, I have to say something because
It's the veiled threats, right?
And the possible outcomes could be disastrous for innocent people. So I at least applaud this person for having the guts to do it in this culture that nationwide is not
Protect your guys.
that way.
Phillips was a former counterterrorism team member who had worked in the Middle East. And he said Wood's marksmanship and arsenal made him particularly worried.
Dangerous, yeah.
He said he had sent Wood to an FBI advanced sniper school where Wood had earned top shot honors. He described Wood as young, fast, and extremely skilled. Phillips said he and his wife ended up packing up bags and leaving their canyon home because they felt so vulnerable on the surrounding high ground if something went wrong. Because his friend was so fucking unstable.
And so they were worried like we would be a perfect target.
Yeah. And because he had given this information.
And he said, if anyone fucks with my employment,
So
gunplay.
because he was like, look, I'm trapped. Like, you're trapped. Imagine my cabin.
Oh,
There's no getting away. They could go high. They could go low. Like,
there's not a lot of options.
he gave detailed written reports to Sheriff Solman and to other agencies, including McCall Police and the Valley County Sheriff's Office, and worked with Wood's family to get him into counseling with a police chaplain in Washington State.
Get him something.
He's
He
trying to
needs
be a
it.
good friend.
Yeah.
Phillips' statements prompted the Ada County Sheriff's Office to issue an internal officer safety and extra patrol bulletin.
Ooh. So like almost like a bolo, but for
Yeah.
your own guy. And that's very serious.
In January. And it warned local officers that Wood's in-laws had requested patrols and that, according to Adams County, Wood had become increasingly unstable.
Oh, that's scary.
The bulletin noted Wood's alleged threats that his in-laws were, quote, not safe, and that there would be gunfire if officers tried to intervene. The bulletin was meant only for law enforcement, but was eventually leaked and posted online, causing another wave of public discussion.
And I'm sorry, but as it should.
And I know
if they're a risk to their coworkers, they're a risk to the public. And again, this is people that we're paying.
Wood later called Phillips' statements slanderous and said that they were motivated by a personal agenda and by Phillips' supposed romantic interest in Wood's wife.
They were friends.
Do you remember the part where I said he and his wife tried to help
Yeah.
Wood and his wife?
They were trying to come together as friends.
Phillips' wife was consoling and trying to take care
Being the girl
Yep.
to be there for her. And honestly, this is really sad.
In May 2016, Wood filed a tort claim accusing Adams County of failing to protect his rights when Phillips spoke with Ada County. The claim said Wood would seek damages of more than $400,000. Phillips left Adams County in early 2016 and took a job in Elmore County. He's like, I'm fucking out. This is too much drama for me.
Yeah.
And he's worried
Understandable.
about his family.
To move out of, I'm sure that was a beautiful place up in
It's a
nice
place.
If it was, you could view it from anywhere. That means you had a great view to everywhere.
Yeah. The county did not respond to the tort claim within 90 days, leaving Wood free to sue. As the time of the investigation files released, he had not yet filed a lawsuit. Neither he nor Phillips publicly discussed the specifics because of potential litigation. So
Sure.
it was thrown out there. I'm sure some attorney was like, you need to do this because it violated your what? No, dude. Like, you were not in a good mental state. And
But since other people have done it, like the OJ lawyer and whatever, like that's insult to injury. Like, not only did you do something that was bad, you're not a good cop. People have paid for your bad deeds, and now you are going to even take more from the community taxpayers because now it's somehow the police department's or community's fault.
On January 30th, ISP had already said it was waiting for the lab results. Once ISP turned over its file on March 10th, the Attorney General's office requested additional material and asked that Roland be interviewed again. That's that extra interview that they did. Yeah. They received the final ballistics report and Roland's additional interview in early June. On June 13th, the Attorney General's team asked ISP to stage a full reconstruction of the scene at a training facility in Meridian. They walked through all the witnesses' accounts and then drove to council that same day. That was a long day.
Oh, I bet.
To stand on the highway where the shooting occurred. Attorney General Lawrence Watson later said he had about a dozen staff members working on the case, including 4 lawyers and 3 investigators.
I'm glad the actual work and time is being put into this, though, because
No, they really
those
were.
types of things are really important.
On July 29th, 2016, after 9 months of investigation and 6 weeks of prosecutorial review, fuck yeah, Attorney General Watson and U.S. Attorney Wendy Olson stepped before reporters in Boise. They announced that neither Brian Wood nor Cody Rowland would face criminal charges at the state or federal level.
And listen, especially the cameras, again, would have proven innocence or proven guilt easily. And this was a shit show. I can't say, I mean, I have an opinion of.
Let's drop it at the end because I have one too.
Sure.
We'll discuss opinions.
Yeah.
But right now, these guys are free to go.
Great news for them. Congratulations.
Sorry, Donna. Not only did her husband get shot, she had a fucking heart attack on the side of a fucking road. Mm-hmm. Wasden acknowledged criticism about the length of the process, which, look, I concur, but I'm telling you, they had to do it this way because if
it's
not...
It's better to do that and dot the I's and cross the T's.
Yep.
Or else, even if it's a verdict that you want, it'll come back.
Yeah.
It'll come back, and it will come back again and again. So it sucks, but I would rather them take their time and hopefully do it right.
Wasden pointed to the volume of evidence, which included more than 50 witnesses, 5,300 pages of reports, 590 photographs, and 30 hours of audio and video. It's a lot.
Okay.
He said his office had moved quickly once ISP finished, and that is true. 6 weeks.
They did what they needed to do once they got it, yeah.
That by anyone's measure, less than 2 months of prosecutorial review was fast. I fucking nailed that. He stressed that he was not declaring the deputies' actions right or wrong. He said only that there was not enough evidence to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, which was the standard any jury would have to apply. He also said that taking a weak case to a grand jury in the hope of getting an indictment would violate his duty as a minister of justice. If the evidence could not support conviction, he said, he should not seek charges.
I will say that quote is very convincing, and it is very reality that is tough to hear.
It's tough to hear.
In a lot of cases. Mm-hmm. I know that we've all watched the Datelines where it's like a 30-year thing, and they're like, why couldn't you bring, and if it's getting a not guilty is worse than anything if the person's really guilty. Mm-hmm. Because then they are off the hook.
Forever and ever and ever.
So the risk is very high. And even though it sucks, there's sometimes because prosecutors are very big on their conviction rate. So I feel like sometimes that does play into
sure.
it of they want to keep it high. But the appeals process and the coming back and like going back on previous things where they're like, you were guilty, and then another court gets it and they're like, we're going to say no and you can try again. That's so painful.
And I think that he knew that if this went to trial and they forced a trial, because they could force their hand, and that came out with a jury giving them a not guilty, we're talking riot town.
Well, and then it's not guilty doesn't mean innocent, but so many people perceive it that way of it was not guilty. Like, and they think that even if someone's done something, if the law says not guilty, that there shouldn't even be any judgment or a side eye or a. So this whole case really sucks. And once again, this makes me glad that the sheriff was fired, because I feel like the culture and the expectations, they hadn't been reprimanded or done anything before. No one just decided to forget to to offload their memory or to put no one just said, today's the day that it's going to happen.
Yep.
This had probably been happening, and it just so happened that an actual really fucking important thing happened this day. It'd probably been going on for years.
Yeah. Olson said federal investigators could not show that either deputy had willfully or unreasonably violated Yantis' civil rights under the Fourth Amendment. This is the feds talking.
Okay.
She said it was not enough under federal law to prove an officer made a mistake, acted neglectingly, or even exercised bad judgment. They had to prove a willful, unreasonable use of force, and with the conflicting accounts,
Which really only a video would have done.
And missing video, they could not do.
Intent and the actual second by second to determine.
I will give them kudos on this, because both offices released the entire ISP investigative file, including transcripts, photos, and recorded interviews.
And that's good. And I think that was at least needed. And people can make whatever they want, and people will fixate. And we've all been in the true crime community, and sometimes fixating on the tiny corner of a picture is important. Sometimes people try to find and stretch and use one thing to do whatever. Once again, if they had the fucking video.
The file showed that Jack Yantis' blood alcohol level had been 0.104 that night.
And in most states, it's 0.08.
Yep.
For driving, which isn't drunk.
Wasden pointed out that there was nothing illegal about that because he was at his home.
Yeah.
But that number became more and more little fact and a deeply contested narrative.
That's a thing that they can prove with evidence.
Yep.
Which, if there was a video...
And they can because there was no fucking video.
Yeah.
The release documents highlighted the key discrepancies in the four primary witnesses' stories. They showed that Roland and Wood both said that they believed Jack had fired first, or at least that his rifle discharged as they fired. Donna and Rowdy insisted he never fired intentionally, and that at most the gun might have gone off when the deputy grabbed him or when a bullet struck his hand and the gun itself. And the ballistic evidence could not answer that question.
Unfortunate.
Cameras, video, let's go. The investigative records also showed how detectives challenged Roland in his third interview. They did. They made it clear that they did not believe Wood's claim that he never touched Yantis, and that they tried to get Roland to distance himself from that account, and Roland refused. Wasden underlined that he was not clearing anyone. He said only he did not have a path to conviction. And Olson echoed that stance.
I like that at least they said that. So it's not
we're not saying that
we're not advertising that these people are innocent.
I really feel like these guys are handling it the best way they can.
They're trying to give
because you cannot convict somebody on what we think happened.
Yes. So they're trying to, I feel like they're trying to give the public of what they can give of, you can have your own fucking opinion of whatever you want to say. We are not telling you that they are 100% innocent because we weren't able to prove that either. If we were able to be like, no, no shots were fired before this, or yes, he actually shot the person or whatever.
They don't know.
We would tell you that.
We don't know.
And so I feel like they're trying to give people at least, because the why thing and the how thing is huge for people. I'm that type of person. And so at least they're leaving that open and saying, if we could tell you that they're 100% innocent, we would have told you that. But we can't.
Oh, I do love it.
It's that's the undertone. That's the
Yep.
the message I'm getting between the lines.
Both said their investigative work was done. Any further examination of policies or training would have to come from other agencies or civil litigation. So, like, we're outs.
Yeah, but please don't say, if you could like do your cameras a little more. Let's get can I get a firm hand?
More consistently, please.
Taxpayer, like she said, taxpayers paid for it. You have to use them, and if you're being good, it's like Santa. If you're being good, he's going to see that you're being good. And it will protect you from a crazy that it tries to attack you and then sue you because they're saying you attacked them.
Yeah.
It will protect you if you are truly doing the right thing.
I agree.
Sorry, I didn't mean to yell.
The Yantis family reacted with disappointment, but not surprise. Attorney Chuck Peterson, representing Donna, daughter Sarah, and Loretta, and nephew Rowdy, said that given the conflicting witness accounts, he understood why prosecutors hesitated. But he argued that grand juries were designed to wrestle with tough factual disputes.
True.
And that probable cause was a lower standard than proof beyond a reasonable doubt. He said the family would pursue their civil case regardless. So he's like,
good.
he wasn't buying into this. It can't be proved beyond a reasonable doubt. He's saying that is not a grand jury's duty. A grand jury's duty is they have to decide if there's probable cause. Mm-hmm. So he didn't like that statement.
It was a very kind response, though.
Yeah.
With how obviously disappointed they were and would be. So, and I feel like he did say, sure, if like he didn't agree with it, but he's like, I can understand why you wouldn't want to pursue.
But you should have taken it to a grand jury, because a grand jury is not deciding guilt. They're deciding probable cause.
Yeah. And if it's like, should go forward.
If it's questionable,
then let's ask the court and the jury the question.
Let's go through the process.
But I will agree that it's a tough case regardless.
So let's go back to April 2016 for that tort claim. Donna, Sarah, and Rowdy had filed that tort claim against Adams County, Sheriff Zolman, and deputies Wood and Rowland. The claim, because you have to give that 90 days.
Yeah.
Okay. So the claim outlined their version of events. It said the dispatcher summoned Jack to the highway to dispatch his bull, and that Jack, Donna, Rowdy, and family friend Joe Ramsey went down. It said Jack stood behind the bull with his rifle aimed at the back of its head when Rowland suddenly grabbed him from behind without warning, jerked him backward, and that both deputies immediately unleashed a hail of bullets with the intent to kill. The claim accused the deputies of failing to issue any commands or warnings, failing to attempt less lethal force, and making no effort to allow Jack to regain his footing. Because Donna and Rowdy both said Jack was touched or grabbed on the shoulder, and he flipped around, and he wasn't even on his feet. You know, if you're looking to do something as serious as put down an animal, you're not focused. He was pissed off at those guys. He wasn't paying two shits to those sheriffs. He's like, you guys are a piece of shit. How could you sit here and just randomly shoot an animal? He wasn't focused on those guys at all, I believe.
He was probably like, I know how to do this.
Shut the fuck.
I'm getting it done.
Here, kids, get the fuck away. I'm old school. I'm real deal. I got this. Get away.
Well, and I feel like They called him down. He walked down, right?
Yeah.
Or came down, however. And I feel like maybe they got spooked with the gun. Any officer thinks someone else with a gun.
They were probably a little high They probably had some tension.
Why didn't they go up there and walk him down so that
Just because it's a very common thing up there. So they called him from his fucking dinner table. He rode his four-wheeler down. He gets down there and he sees that they've shot his bull up to fucking shit. Poorly shot his
made it
bull.
worse?
Oh, just so it quit charging. What are you Are you an idiot? And I think that his total demeanor towards those guys after reading through this was
When they were like, he charged at us, and then they shot him incorrectly, and it's like, that will cause him to charge again.
Yeah, you're
and continue to charge.
Put that shit away. Put your piece of shit gun away. Your fucking fancy dancy AR-15. That's not going to kill my bull if you shoot him in the gut. Like, he was pissed.
Yes.
And can you imagine? Okay.
Now your animal is even in more and more pain than being hit.
Yeah. And so he went to go shoot him, and he was focused on getting the right spot. And somebody grabbed him because they didn't like that.
Someone grabs me at any point. I'm sorry. I'm that girl. I don't fucking touch me.
Yeah.
Ever.
It also accused them of falsely arresting Donna and Rowdy, pointing out the heart attack Donna suffered on scene.
Right. They just made it worse. What threat was she?
She was fucking freaking out
Having
that they had a gun to her fucking head. She was not nowhere.
She saw all of this shooting and everything.
Nowhere in any of this reports that I see Donna have a gun, Donna be threatening. Guess what? I wouldn't even if a gun wasn't pointed at my loved one's head, if some cop was being irrational, I would find it very hard to stay calm.
Yes.
So that they threw her on the ground and Rowdy on the ground and cuffed them and had guns to their head. Slow your roll, bitches.
Again, this is we're expected as civilians to be rational, reasonable, limp, show submission in the face of extreme. There's 10 people around me probably that could all shoot me full and make me the Swiss cheese. But if I say something, an officer is allowed to be like, yeah, escalated and offended and enact terror because of it.
So not only the heart attack that Donna suffered, but the shooting caused this enormous emotional distress. So that's
obviously,
yeah. It asked for $500,000, the maximum damages allowed against a county under Idaho law.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
They're
lucky as fuck.
But said that amount could not possibly fully compensate.
No, I got it.
But oh my God, pancake. But said that amount could not possibly fully compensate the family and the punitive damages that would be required in a lawsuit.
Yeah.
$500,000. It's not doing shit.
I want them to get it because again, the police could have proven their innocence
if they'd done their job right. And that's where all my frustration's coming from with this. It's like, there is conflicting stories, but if they would have just done what they were supposed to.
Their job. That wasn't their job to have cameras on this specific portion of the road. It could have cleared them if, in fact, they were doing the right thing.
Yep. After the July charging decision, Peterson said the family would review the release investigative file and likely file a federal lawsuit seeking damages for wrongful death and civil rights violations. Okay. Big time. Because Idaho is only $500,000.
Mm-hmm.
Get federal. He noted that they had hoped body camera or dash camera footage would show exactly what happened, and said the absence of the video left everyone relying on contested memories. The Justice for Jack movement continued its work. Supporters combed through thousands of pages of investigative records, held more rallies, and encouraged people to read the documents themselves. They pressed Sheriff Zolman to hold another public meeting, as he had promised, because that's what he said. He said, when I know, you'll know.
We'll do this again.
Zolman first said he would. Then later, he said he would not because the county's risk management insurer had advised them not to talk about the case while litigation loomed.
No one wants to hear that.
No one wants to, but it's the truth.
But put out a video or so, like find an alternative. Did he do
Right.
that? Probably not. We don't know.
I can't remember because this story was so much.
There's so much tea, like so much like
Oh, I might
side
be in
stories
here.
and everything.
It might be in here. The sheriff pointed out that the entire investigative record was online for anyone to read, and he said there was nothing he could say that was not already available. True that.
And then people can come.
And
to their
he
own.
should not be speaking.
And I'm glad they released this stuff.
They
for free
did. It was full transparency, everything.
without having to have people do a FOIA.
Oh, yeah, and all that
whatever.
stuff. But he's like, I have nothing more to add to this because everything's there. Make your judgment. Because he can't say, they're in litigation. So supporters were not satisfied. Some campaigned for sheriff candidate Tom Watts, who ran as an independent against Solman. Others continued to argue that Wood and Rowland should never return to duty because that's still there. For a while, the deputies themselves stayed largely silent in public. Wood eventually posted on Facebook, "Where's your fucking attorney, bro?" In a long message, he said,
Oh God.
the previous 5 weeks had been the most trying of his life and that false information had spread about what happened. He wrote that he knew the truth and that others did too, and that he hoped the world would eventually know. He asked people to pray for peace and healing for all families involved. In August of 2016, repeating his view that Jack had pointed his rifle towards emergency workers, ignored commands to lower it, and fired before Wood shot. So he's saying, look, this is what happened.
This guy pointed his gun at emergency workers and was going to fire, or I thought he did fire, and then I fired. Why would he be targeting the ambulance workers?
It's that bull was on the ground. And here, let me show you that picture again.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's see here. So there's the bull. I mean, you can see there's their ATV. So emergency workers must have been down this way. So he was pointing the gun that way. But I don't think he was shooting.
What would even if he was pissed at the cops or whatever, I think people know their uniforms.
His daughter was an EMT. He's not trying to shoot.
The EMT definitely wasn't shooting or doing anything to the bull.
He was trying to kill the bull the way the bull was facing. He was shooting it in the back where he's supposed to shoot it. He's just doing, he knows how to put down the animal. He's going to put the rifle in the right direction. I'm sorry that we have emergency workers 100 yards down the road or whatever they were, 200 feet down the road. But I can't kill the bull correctly.
You asked me to come down here to do it.
I can't kill the bull correctly if I can't put the rifle where I need to put the rifle.
I have to come down here carrying a gun, and if just that alone.
I just shoot it right here in this spot, and this is how it needs to point to put the animal out of misery that you've already caused way more misery than needed.
That's a big bull too, and that's very offensive. Like, to cause more misery.
Yeah. Oh, can you imagine? In August 2016, repeating his view that Jack had pointed his rifle towards emergency workers, ignored commands to lower it, and fired before Wood shot. He wrote that he had raised his rifle. This is all on his Facebook shit.
Oh my God.
He wrote that he had raised his rifle to protect Rowland from what he saw as an obvious threat to murder a fellow officer. Shut up. Rowland spoke with KIVI, and in comments quoted by the Statesman, he said he hoped people would read the Attorney General's entire report instead of skimming headlines, and that he and Wood believed they had done nothing wrong. Both men say they had received death threats, many of them from out-of-state animal rights activists. I never thought I'd say this, PETA.
They're like,
get them.
you fucking of this poor bull, and now you've
Not
done this
about killing
the person.
the man.
They're like, you shot a bull in the stomach? Which, I mean, it is a big deal, but it's, I see why you're giggling about it, you know, like.
Inside county government, decisions about their employment dragged on. Sheriff Zolman said in July of 2016 that both deputies wanted to return to work, but would have to pass psychological evaluations and go through a process before any decision. County commissioners said they had no authority to tell an elected sheriff whom to keep or fire, though.
And this is why it's so toxic, because there's no actual policy. Sorry, go on.
But that they control the budget. So they can't say, they're like, yeah, we can tell them how much you can spend.
Dissociating.
The county's insurer, Idaho County's risk management program, agreed to reimburse the county for the cost of paid leave and even help pay for part-time deputies to fill the gap. That's what insurance is for.
Sure.
Also in August of 2016, Justice for Jack leaders Becca Barrow and Mike McLaughlin announced that they had learned from multiple sources that neither deputy would return to the Adams County Sheriff's Office. And look, on the deputy side, should not. There is heated opinions.
And why would they want to continue to live and work there?
No. It is
at every traffic stop.
Uh-huh.
It's probably a 70% chance.
You killed Jack. You're a fucking murderer. Go ahead, write me a ticket.
Yeah.
You murderer.
And they're going to be relentless. And
Attorney Jim Davis, representing the county, initially did not confirm that. Later, it emerged that Roland had actually resigned back on November 30th, 2015, to take a seasonal job. Public records from the insurance pool showed that only Wood, not Roland, was still being reimbursed for paid leave. So, look, Roland was like, I'm out. Post-certification records still listed Roland as an Adams County employee because the sheriff's office had not yet submitted a separation form, because this was all on the down low.
Yeah, it always is.
Roland refused to comment. Wood stayed on paid leave until August 31st, 2000.
Why wouldn't you?
Milk it, bitch. When his employment with Adams County ended. County officials would not say whether he resigned or was terminated.
Paid vacation? While we're deciding?
Citing personal privacy rules.
I'm sorry. Who isn't going to take a paid leave? Well, if
you know who didn't?
You want to investigate something on my job for a year?
You know
who
didn't?
Paid?
Roland. Meanwhile, the Yantis family tried to live their lives amid the grief. Sarah and her husband, Mike, moved back to the ranch to help Donna after her heart attack. Sarah became pregnant with her second child a few months after the shooting. That fall, with another calf crop and hunting season approaching, and the cows due to come home from the mountains, the family squeezed in a baby shower at the Seven Devils Cafe in Council.
We've been there.
Been there. Tiny cowboy hats and boots set on hay bales as decorations.
Very cutesy.
You got to find some light.
You have to, again, find a way to heal, and that might be community action. That might be
baby.
Helping a family, celebrating a baby. Just I always say this, get in where you fit in. I didn't make that up, but that's like where I try to
find a little light in all of this. Donna brought her famous sweet and sour meatballs. Want to hit her up? Neighbors and supporters brought pies, cake. The women laughed more that afternoon than they had in months. Justice for Jack supporters hosted a barbecue outside so Donna could be honored in person, since she had missed the earlier school memorial.
Right.
Because she was red Justice for Jack bracelets circulated. Those rubber bikes. Yeah. People from as far as Boise and Middleton who had followed the case online drove up to show support. Donna thanked everyone for their love and prayers. I thought this was sweet. Like,
and this was like a newer fate. Like, this is 2016 and 2018. Like, I feel like it wasn't as, things didn't go as viral and stuff. And so just to have so much support, that's really cool.
And for her to be able to get, look, she did not get to attend the memorial, the big memorial for her husband. And so just to feel that love, I'm going to get emotional, just to feel that love from the community.
That is still supporting. Yeah. No, that's fucking huge.
Justice for Jack continued to hold rallies at the state capitol and in council. Supporters wore the red pancake. Supporters wore the red bracelets. Some mailed as far as other states and overseas. Many said that they did not believe justice had been served, but they were committed to non-violent advocacy.
That's great to hear.
In October of 2017, the family turned their tort claim into a federal lawsuit. Donna, daughter Sarah and Loretta, and nephew Rowdy filed a civil rights and wrongful death complaint in the U.S. District Court against Adams County. They turned their court claim into a federal lawsuit. Regarding the tort claim,
the federal lawsuit.
Yes, the federal lawsuit. It was a 26-page suit, alleged that deputies created a deadly response to fictional, non-deadly threat. It claimed they fired with the intent to kill rather than using warnings or less lethal shots, that they handcuffed Donna and Rowdy at gunpoint, and that both believed that they were about to be executed. How fucking scary.
Yeah.
It said the sheriff failed to separate the deputies for more than an hour after the shooting. Yes. Allowed them to coordinate stories, and was deliberately indifferent to their training deficiencies and checkered work histories. Check, check. The complaint said the deputies falsely asserted that Jack shot Roland, when in fact Roland was uninjured, and that any discharge from Jack's rifle, if it happened, was accidental and caused by the deputies' actions. He's talking about them shooting up his gun. The suit alleged constitutional violations, assault, battery, unreasonable seizure, false imprisonment, and infliction of emotional distress. It sought unspecified damages beyond the statutory cap already addressed in the tort claim. The statesman reached out to the sheriff and former deputies for comment. Their attorney declined, and the undersheriff, Jeff Brown, did not discuss the suit, of course.
Okay.
By 2018, that lawsuit quietly ended. In one brief report, the Associated Press noted that a federal judge had dismissed the case after a settlement was reached between the family, Adams County, the sheriff, and the deputies. Donna said she could not talk about the details, but made it clear that no amount of money could replace her husband. Later, through public records requests, journalists confirmed that the Idaho County's risk management program paid $2.6 million to settle the wrongful death case. Get it, Donna.
And
get it,
just
kiddos.
like she said, I know that it doesn't
fix it.
It does not ever fix it.
You know, and she'd been with Jack her whole life since they were teenagers. And so, and they had a ranch to run. And I'm telling you, look, you got to give men credit where credit is due. And look, I don't want to be out building fences. I want to hire somebody to do that because that's what my husband used to do.
Yeah.
So I need to maintain our livelihood.
Yeah. How am I going to carry on this?
And yeah, I'm, in my 60s and I don't build fences.
And I had a fucking heart attack on the side of the road.
Because you planted
while being arrested.
D-bags. Yeah. So the officials noted that the settlement did not include any admission of wrongdoing.
It never does. That's part of the settlement.
That's why you
Is
do
there
settlement. We don't want all this
dirty.
If we could
just say that we actually didn't do anything wrong, we're going to pay you all this money, not because we did something wrong, but just because we're like feeling friendly today.
Yeah.
We're just feeling friendly. We like you guys. We didn't do anything wrong.
Donna again told reporters that the legal end brought no closure because Jack was so gone.
And I think that's a huge part of closure, of admitting, like, if the sheriff's office could have said, yes, these people shouldn't have been hired, at least you're like, thank you. Like we've been saying,
If it's a small win, it's not even about the money.
And you hope that it will influence other offices, because then do you want a 2 point whatever million settlement on your hands? No, hopefully other places will learn.
And still, 3 years after the shooting, the community of council still felt the shadow of that November night. Some people remained angry at law enforcement. Others worried that deputies everywhere might second-guess themselves in dangerous situations. The sheriff had been reelected. Wood and Rowland were no longer on the force. The Garners continued to heal. Let's not forget about the Garners.
Yeah.
Continued to heal and push for changes in open range law. Donna and her daughters tried to keep the ranch going and raise the next generation. Justice for Jack supporters kept wearing their red bracelets and telling Jack stories.
Crazy story. And just to know that you've alluded to this a few times on the podcast, and even just with me, like in chit chat, and knowing how convoluted and sticky and messy this was, I'll give my little final thought opinion.
Let's go.
So first off, as far as what I think happened, and this is only my opinion, this is all just conjecture, speculation. Previous behavior, previous history is the best predictor of future behavior. So if these were squeaky clean officers that were like beacons in their town and volunteering, and everyone's like, this is the cop that saved me and did this, and it had never had any bad ripping a 78-year-old brittle poor man out of a thing,
Poaching deer
and WWE style harming a base defenseless man. Let's just be real. If that hadn't happened, I would feel differently. I think that they were being, as we've seen, when people do have their body cams on of cops behaving badly.
D-bags.
I think they were doing that. Secondly, the testimony that he wasn't willing to change. I think that that was pure brotherhood. And listen, they tried to give him an out and be like, oh, it'll help you. If they both don't talk or change, it helps both of them.
Right,
and
and
they
die.
know it. And and it is literally a thing. If we put up the wall, the curtain, then we will protect each other. And that it is all my opinion, just for me hearing it. What do you think about that part?
But I also think maybe just for half a second
Or
that
maybe he even believed it was that way.
it happened so fast he might not have known. And maybe deep down he might. I mean, a half a second.
But he wasn't sure. And so he doesn't, if he's not sure, he doesn't want to throw someone under the bus.
I think that that's
The same. No, it could be that way too.
He's just like,
For sure. I can give you
he
that.
doesn't. Have you ever not trusted your memory?
Yes. And so if I was like, I don't know.
I'm just going to stick with my, I'm
grabbed
just,
that person, but I don't feel like I saw it.
so I'm just going to stick with what I said.
And that's what I said. And what I said is what I said. And here we go.
Yeah. Look, I don't think Roland was, I want to say this, and just, I don't think Roland was the bad guy in this. I don't. Even though he had that little weird,
I got shot thing.
no.
No, I think that overall there was some fuckery and unnecessary escalation, because if that's how you perform at a traffic stop, a low stress, low risk 78-year-old man, no real perceived harm to yourself. And then you have tempers flaring of someone who's deeply hurt about what you've done to their animal, and they're carrying a very large gun. And you also maybe fucked up in how you shot that gun. So you're embarrassed. And as a dude, this is a big deal. You don't know how to shoot a gun and shoot an animal correctly.
Jack said, put that piece of shit away.
Yeah.
Take your little fucking AR-15.
I think we all know men that type of thing would hurt them deeply, and you would even feel unsafe around them if someone addressed them in that way. So my opinion is that that's how it probably went down. Is it was these a very toxic attitude and previously noted and documented bad behavior in non-threatening situations. And now you're in a situation where someone has a gun, and as a cop,
And then
you are not used to someone being able to even hold a gun around you.
Right.
That's a foreign
And now he's
thing.
talking shit to you because you're a fucking idiot
He's
kid.
holding a gun.
He's telling you you're an idiot.
And he's holding a gun, which people can't even hold a pocket knife. People can't hold a candy bar sometimes without getting shot because they think it's a gun. Like, and now this motherfucker has the audacity to talk shit to you, and he's holding a gun, and now my life's in danger. I was threatened for my life. My opinion is how I feel that this probably went. But
And he went to grab him saying like, what the fuck?
to check him and get him to respect you, because if you're holding that gun, you better be bowing down to me even more than the 78-year-old in the car. You better be, guys, I'm just gonna do this. I just. And if someone's not acting like that, you're like,
Yeah, Jack turned around and said, what Jack said was, go fuck yourself. I got this.
put that piece of shit away.
Don't question. Like, Jack was like, I got this. And then the cop was like,
He's here to just take care of business. And
you're
he's like,
questioning me?
and with a gun, I'm fearful. I suddenly feel fear. And listen, I know that this isn't everything. I know that we've all seen that type of reaction on a body cam or a TikTok or whatever. It happens. It's unfortunate that it maybe makes people think that all cops are that way. But again, let's keep working towards making this not a thing and not giving people a slap on the wrist and not letting people go to other. There's so many things that we can do, and it will help all good cops. It will help. Because if there isn't a reputation and proof of people acting like a D-bag.
There are good police officers.
And there are.
A lot. But
there's laws that we can put in to weed out these people.
I feel like just from all my research, I'm going to get upset. I feel like Jack was a good dude. Yeah. He's a hardworking, like, fucking Idaho.
A good friend to all.
Tried and true guy. And he was pissed off that they fucked with his animals.
And was just trying to get it done.
Yeah. And his poor wife having a fucking heart attack. Oh, my God. And his girls and that community and
having to see it and live through the gossip.
The responsibility of following up on resumes and
just doing your job. Yeah. Having your cam on.
Turn your fucking camera on.
That could have, if they were truly innocent, again, I know
that would have 100 times. It would have been done.
It would have been done.
All right, kids. It's a long one.
It's a long one, but you know, listen, I love all the cases that you find, Dani. This one,
it was taxing. It was a lot.
It was very taxing, and they're all tragic because someone dies except for the bunny bash, thousands and thousands of bunnies died. But it's like, they're all serious. But the ones where there's just so much fuckery, we love to delve into that. And so
it's long. We had a lot of commentary, but I'm telling you, there's so much.
It's such an interesting case.
And it's so Idaho-ish, I think.
Very Idaho.
Are we that far? Yes. Look at us, not even keeping count. Because we're just having a good fucking time.
We are.
But, yes. I love you, sis.
I love you too, Dani.
And
we love you. Like, if you are listening, whether you're a first-time listener or you've been here since the beginning, like, it's just fucking cool. And you guys send us cool emails. You leave us cool comments. And you hold us accountable when we need to be, and we appreciate that as well. We don't know what the fuck we're doing.
And you catch us in the grocery store and say, I love it.
It's amazing. So
that makes my heart smile because this is a labor of love for sure.
We have not earned a dime from it. And we would love to eventually.
Maybe someday, but we're just doing it.
We're doing it to maybe get there, and your support, that's what makes your support super cool.
So I love you, sis. Thank you for going on this journey with me. I had to say that.
Oh, You're welcome. I'm so glad, honestly, even in the hard times. I'm so glad. Here we are.
All
All
right.
together. Love you. Bye. Oh, 10-4 rubber ducky.
Fuck yeah.